cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Is Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Celtics center Kristaps Porzingis in the coming days will undergo surgery on a rare lower left leg injury sustained in Game 2 of the NBA Finals. He'll miss playing for the Latvian national team at the Summer Olympics in Paris. A timeline for his return not yet determined. Knicks guard OG Anunoby opted out of his contract. He'll be a free agent. Warriors and veteran guard Klay Thompson remained at a standoff ahead of free agency. There hasn't been a lot of communication between the sides regarding a contract. Golden State GM Mike Dunleavy's maintained the team wants Thompson back. He reportedly, though, plans to test free agency. ESPN NBA analyst Tim Legler.
The drop-off was so dramatic in terms of his inability to make shots at that consistent rate that we were used to. That's when the Warriors are starting to wonder about the number. Is he going to be unreasonable about the number or about his role? And if either of those things, like he's holding on to with a great deal of pride, it might force the Warriors' hand in that situation.
Pavel Datsyuk, Jeremy Roenick, and Shea Weber among the players who will be inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame in Toronto in November.
As humans, we like having options. One option you might like is speaking with a real person when you call about your credit card. With 24/7 live U.S.-based customer service from Discover, everyone can talk to a real person anytime, day or night. Limitations apply. See terms at discover.com/credit card.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Cassie Spazak.
I'm walking here.
Alondra Villarreal. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. My goodness, do we have a lot to get to today. There's a new national champion in college baseball, a massive recruiting weekend this past weekend. Shea Dixon's here for 2 segments because literally as we speak, one of the top receivers in the country is preparing to make his announcement, and LSU does have a hat on the table. NBA draft is tomorrow. Ruger Ron's in studio. Man, we got a ton to do. Let's kick it off.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
Well, there's a new champion in college baseball. It was going to happen. They weren't going to cancel the game. So there was going to be one of 2 bad options. Either Tennessee or Texas A&M were going to win the national championship. And as we know now, it was, in fact, the Tennessee Vols that sit atop the throne of college baseball for the first time. I was texting with Jason Swain, my buddy, former Tennessee wide receiver, does radio up in Knoxville. And he was texting me this morning gloating. It's funny because when Swain comes on the show, he instructs me never to ask him about baseball because he doesn't like or know anything about baseball. But since Tennessee won something, finally, he'll peacock a little. And he said, we're just sitting over here on the champions couch. And I said, yep, you are. Sitting on the champions couch with Fresno State, Coastal Carolina, and all the other one-timers. And he was quick to say, we're coming. But to find out how hard it is to maintain consistency, just like Mississippi State and Ole Miss have found it, and why programs like LSU that have won 7 national championships are pretty special. But congrats to Tennessee. They were a good team. It's amazing. It's not even their best team. Each of the last 2 teams were better than this team, but this is the one for them that kicked in the door. I'm not going to break down the game because I don't think you honestly care. I think it was really just a zero-sum game. Like, You want to know who won? You got the result. Now it's over, and we'll all move on with our lives and hope that Tennessee winning a championship doesn't positively impact their program in the same way that Ole Miss and Mississippi State winning championships has not positively impacted theirs because they both stink. And that's what we'll pull for. Of greater consequence is what happened after the game. So Jim Schlossnagle, the Texas A&M coach, Jim Schlossnagle, in his post-game press conference, and I'll grant you it's not an easy thing to do. I mean, you coach a team, you get right there on the precipice of winning the national championship, you win game one. All you have to do is win either Sunday or Monday, and you claim the program's first national championship, and you come up short. You lose back-to-back games to Tennessee, and then you have to go sit on the dais there and answer questions. And I understand that that's unenviable, but it's part of the job, and you have to suck it up and go do it. And with all the conversation on Monday after Texas fired David Pierce about Jim Schlossnagle being a target for the Texas job, he was asked about the Texas job in the post-game press conference. Here is what Jim Schlossnagle had to say.
I think it's pretty selfish of you to ask me that question, to be honest with you. But I left my family to be the coach at Texas A&M. I took the job at Texas A&M to never take another job again, and that hasn't changed in my mind. That's unfair to talk about something like that. That'd be like you asking Montgomery if he's going to sign in the draft. But I understand you got to ask the question, but I gave up a big part of my life to come take this job, and I've poured every ounce of my soul in this job, and I've given this job every single ounce I can possibly give it. So write that.
Write that. So on this show, when the coaching carousel spins, we like to go through the different stages of answers when coaches are asked about other jobs. And if you know well, I'll just refresh your memory. Well, there is, of course, the denial, where you very plainly say, like Nick Saban did, I'm not going to be the Alabama coach. That's a denial. There is the non-denial denial, where you don't actually deny the job that you're interested, but you're pretending like you are. It's the non-denial denial. And then there's the non-denial, where you just refuse to comment. Well, here's a quiz. Alondra, Cassie, which do you think that Jim Schlossnagle just executed? A, B, or C? The denial, the non-denial denial, or the non-denial?
The B.
That you're saying non-denial
denial? I think the
non-denial
denial.
Cassie?
Yeah, I agree.
I tell you what, give yourself a ding. I don't know if you can find the ding button over there, Alondra, but give yourself a ding. That is what we call a non-denial denial. Yeah, hit it. Yeah, no, please hit it. The non-denial denial is exactly, because here's the thing. Schlossnagle never in that answer, never clearly said, I'm not going to be the Texas coach. Jim, you want to stop this conversation altogether? There's an easy way to do it. I'm not going to be the coach at Texas. I will be at A&M next year. That is a denial, right? That is unmistakable. He didn't do that. You know what he did? He called the reporter selfish for asking the question. He called a reporter selfish for doing his job. By the way, it's always the thing that's floored me. Y'all know I did news before I ever did sports. It's about 4 years of news radio. It's so interesting because in news, you expect the media to hold politicians and decision makers accountable. You're expected to ask the tough questions. There's like members of the White House press corps that are like lauded because they pepper the old girl who or whoever the person, the press secretary, the man or the woman, whoever answers the questions for whatever president. Like, you're lauded for that. In sports media, you ask a coach who just lost a game if he's going to another job, you're like chastised, you're vilified. No, it's not selfish. Dude was doing his job. It's a big story. He asked you the question. Answer it or don't. That's your prerogative. But so Jim Schlossnagle called him selfish. He talked about his family. I left my family for this. True, you did that. He said, I with the intention of never taking another job. I believe you, Jim. I believe you never had intention of taking another job. I also believe you probably never had intention of leaving TCU until something better came along. That's like asking Braden Montgomery if he's going to the draft. Of course you'd ask Braden Montgomery if he's going to the draft. By the way, we all know Braden Montgomery's going to the draft, just like we all know Texas is interested, and you reciprocate. He talked about, I poured my soul and every ounce of everything into this job. Nobody's denying that. You did all of those things. You left your family. You intended to never take another job. You poured all of your soul and every effort into that job. No one's denying any of that. You fully intended for A&M to be your last job. No one is denying any of those things. And you are also not denying that you're leaving Texas A&M for Texas. So, listen, that decision for Jim Schlossnagle was made far less complicated by Texas A&M's loss. And I want to be clear again. I'm going to say this right now because I know sometimes we talk about this stuff, people get confused, and I don't know if I could say this any more clearly. I do not know if next year Jim Schlossnagle will be coaching the University of Texas. I do not know that. I am very comfortable in telling you that Texas has made contact and that there's a lot of people who I've talked to in a lot of different avenues over the last 48 hours, or really over the last 3 weeks, that think Jim Schlossnagle is going to be the next coach. And he's taken that entire A&M staff with him to Texas. But there's always hurdles to clear to get something to the finish line. So we'll see if this thing gets there or if they go another route. I've told you this yesterday. One of the backup plans I heard was Skip Johnson from Oklahoma. If it doesn't work out with Schlossnagle, he'd be the fallback or one of the fallbacks. So we'll see where it goes. But Jim Schlossnagle at no point in that answer denied interest in the Texas job. He at no point denied he was taking the Texas job. At no point did he deny having contact with Texas. He gave you a patented non-denial denial. It was a red herring. Hey, look over here, look over here, look over here while I slap you in the face with this hand. That's what he just did. So you can all criticize the guy that asked the question, but that guy did his job. And he got Schlossnagle to give a non-denial denial. But if he was really not interested, there's an easy way out of that, Jim. I'm going to be coaching at Texas A&M next year. I am not going to Texas. Boom. That does it. That is irrefutable, unmistakable. He didn't do that. So the beat goes on, and I'm sure we'll get an answer to all this soon. Okay, it's After Further Review. Show Open is brought to you by Bud Light, the official beer of AFR, official beer of the New Orleans Saints, official beer of the LSU Tigers, the official beer of the UFC, and by the way, y'all, check out the Mockler Beverage social medias. They just posted on Instagram again today, but there's that post I've been telling you about. It's the Zach Bryan post. If you're interested in seeing Zach Bryan at the Superdome in New Orleans on July 25th, there's a QR code on that post. As a matter of fact, if you're watching, let me zoom in on this. You can probably just scan the QR code right there, I would assume. Hello. You ever tried to do that before, Cassie? Like, can I just get my phone and do that? Will it work?
I think it'll work.
It does work. Look, I just did it. Okay. Oh, you can get off that screen. Oh, wait, that's fine. Anyway, drink easy in Louisiana with the great taste of Bud Light. If you want to win those Zach Bryan tickets, just go to the Mockler Beverage social media pages, scan the QR code on the Zach Bryan flyer, and you'll have your chance to enter to win a couple of tickets to see Zach Bryan, the Quitting Time Tour in New Orleans. Okay, it's After Further Review. Let me knock out a quick break, y'all. We'll come back. Shea Dixon is going to spend 2 segments with us. Normally I have Shea for 1, but it's a massive day. So C.J. Wiley, one of the biggest names in this recruiting class for 2025, one of the biggest receivers in the country, announced his decision. I'm actually looking to see if it's updated right now. He is committed to Florida State. Okay, so C.J. Wiley was down to Georgia, LSU, and Florida State. He is just minutes ago committed to Florida State. So Shea Dixon's going to join us. We'll talk about C.J. Wiley. We'll talk about Jabori Antoine's decommitment, how they might get him back in the class. The other 3 commitments from this weekend, a ton to do with Shea Dixon. So we carved out 2 segments. That's coming up next on AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by the Watermark Hotel and the Renaissance Hotel, 2 amazing hotel properties in Baton Rouge, Watermark downtown, the Renaissance, Southtown. And I keep reminding you about this, and I want to keep hammering this home. The next opportunity for evenings at the Renaissance is coming up next Friday, July the 5th. So it'll be Friday, July 5th, featuring Cantera Negra Tequila. It's a tasting event. So you can stop by the table across from the bar there at Tallulah, and you can enjoy complimentary tastings of Cantera Negra tequilas. It's next Friday, July the 5th, from 6 until 8:30 p.m. You don't need a ticket. You don't need to register. Just show up there. It's evenings at the Renaissance. These are great events. If you're looking for something to do, something different, a different way to get out and get around town, go experience Tallulah inside of the Renaissance Hotel. Check it out next Friday, July the 5th, from 6 until 8:30 p.m. A spirit tastings evening at the Renaissance with Cantera Negra.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. It's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off F-150. $10,000 off the new 2024 Ford F-150. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
There's nothing chill about a hot, sweaty line. Unless you add Mountain Cold Refreshment. Coors Light. Choose chill.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Always appreciate our friends over at Sunshine. Remember, you go to sunequip.com, buy tickets. You want to win that Gator, the LSU Gator from John Deere. They'll be raffling it off at the Vanderbilt football game this fall in Tiger Stadium. Someone's going to win it. All the proceeds benefit FFA and 4-H. So get them by sunequip.com to buy your tickets. Massive recruiting weekend in the rearview mirror, and boy, this cycle has really heated up. Great time to catch up with Shea Dixon on 3, the Bengal Tiger, is with us every week. Shady, how are you, man?
I'm doing well. How are you, Matt?
I'm doing great. We appreciate the time as always, and we got you for a couple of segments here today, so we appreciate that flexibility as well. Let me begin with the news that literally just within the last 15 minutes broke. C.J. Wiley, Chuck Wiley's son, LSU legacy, was down to 3. Georgia, LSU, Florida State. It's the Seminoles. So give me a little bit of context here on C.J. Wiley.
Yeah, Wiley's a top 10 receiver on 3, top 100 prospect nationally, and LSU and Georgia had recruited him for years, had been considered really the 2 teams that it was going to come down to, and then he took an FSU official visit this past weekend. They had been in the mix for him, Matt, but weren't considered to be kind of that final 2, but as we got closer to decision day and through the announcement, Wiley even said he was not going to tell any coaches or any media where he was going. That doesn't happen a lot this day and age, but he didn't. He went into this one with everybody as blind to the decision as the coaching staff would be, and he put on the Florida State hat, and the guy at Milton High School was hosting it, thought that was part of the bit, and just sort of waited for him to do something else, and he was like, no, Florida State, and I think it threw everybody for a loop, even the people there at Milton High. So the dark horse wins out there at the end, the team nobody expected.
I think the feeling was, I think you and I talked about this the last several weeks, maybe there was a thought he was leaning to Georgia. So rate this as how big of a surprise?
Oh, in the modern recruiting era where everything seems to leak at some point, this has got to be up there. Toviano pulled off something similar a year ago when everybody kind of didn't know even until he was going up on stage. But for an in-state kid from Georgia, I think the Georgia fans right now, if we switched over to their local ESPN affiliate, would be outraged and very upset. They would rank this as a 10 on the surprise level. They thought it was going to be the Bulldogs, and if anything, it was LSU that would pull it off.
So, Shay, with LSU not getting C.J. Wiley, how much of a need is receiver here in this 2025 class? What other options are out there?
Yeah, I mean, they'll always sign 4 guys on average a class, right? So you've got Teron Francis, who remains the highest-ranked receiver out of Louisiana, coming out of Edna Carr. He's committed. DeCorian Moore, the number 1 receiver, was committed at one point, backed off, did make an official visit to LSU. We'll see if he comes for the Bayou Splash later this month. I think most feel that Texas, in the end will probably or maybe win out there, given that was the school early on everybody thought he was going to go to, and has a lot of family in the area. But he's on the board. Jamie French is one that a lot of people are watching, another 5-star receiver who visited LSU just this morning. Steve Wiltfong and Chad Simmons at On3 did of every uncommitted 5-star kind of a where I'm at right now, what would my prediction be? And for French, Chad Simmons said LSU. And French is a guy who's kind of kept things as quiet as C.J. Wiley had in terms of not really saying, he'll name a leader here and there, but then would name a new leader. It has kind of kept everyone on his toes. But his mom went to Southern. As they grew up in the Feliciana area. She did. Her family's still here. So he's a Florida guy, but has connections to the Baton Rouge area. And then there are others. Look, they've been after Khalik Lockett, a 5-star receiver. He took an official visit same weekend as Jamie French. She just got done with the wave of them. And then they had a number of guys camp here recently. So I probably left somebody off that list, but it gives you a feel for they've really been swinging for the fences, Matt. I mean, I think that when you look at I've got it pulled up, the top 10 receivers on 3, Wiley was one of them, but everybody else I just mentioned is in that group. And then a guy who ranks number 7 in the country on the On3 industry rankings is Derek Meadows, and he took a midweek official visit this past week. So I think that 6 of the top 10 receivers took official visits to LSU this past month, and now it's just a matter of Wiley was the first domino to drop. Are they able to get one of these other guys?
Shay Dixon's with us on 3, the Bengal Tiger. There's another bit of bad. We're going to get to the good news, I promise. But the other bad news was Jabori Antoine decommitting. Shay, with Corey Raymond being from New Iberia, Jabori Antoine being from New Iberia, cornerback, I mean, this just made so much sense that he would end up in the LSU class. First of all, what led to this decommitment?
I think it's probably a combination of things. Look, they had 13 commits, now they have 12. He's one of the guys who was taken. He and Keelan Moses were taking official visits elsewhere. He had been to Miami, he'd been to Florida State. He had been public about it, doing interviews, sharing all of his photos. So everybody knew he was taking visits. It was, is he serious about looking around, or is this just for fun? And I think him backing off his commitment shows, hey, look, I am looking around a bit, and we already knew that given he was taking visits. But I also think it's one where LSU will just say, okay, we will double down and buckle in even harder. And it's beyond Corey Raymond. I mean, you'll have Frank Wilson and plenty of people on that staff involved in this one. So I think that by signing day, he still ends up at LSU. But look, it's not the first Westgate player that would have left. We saw the number 1 safety, number 2 safety in the country head to Texas out of Westgate not too long ago. And in the class prior to that, Danny Lewis, the tight end, went to Bama. So LSU signed Demarion Johnson out of New Iberia or out of Westgate a year ago. So I thought they would make it back-to-back classes of doing it. Now that Antoine's decommitted, they've got to go back and get him. But I still think by signing day he'll be in this class. And it's a corner, a DB, whether corner or safety. They need it. So they'll certainly be all over him.
Shay, can you just explain the recruiting prediction machine? Because even though Jabori Antoine's decommitted, the On3 recruiting prediction machine still shows a 95.4% chance of Antoine ending up in the LSU class. Can you explain that?
Yeah, well, a part of that, but I'll eliminate that factor in a second, is that I made a prediction. The only prediction he has on there is my prediction from January before he committed originally, right? And then decommitted recently. That doesn't disappear, and I haven't changed it, so I'm still riding LSU. But if I didn't even have a pick in there, the percentage, and I really like the RPM for doing this even when there's not picks, is how many times have you visited a school? What's the proximity from your home to that school? What is the NFL kind of pedigree of that school at your position? And all these things factor into the very, different percentages of how they come up with the final percentage. But I think that's accurate still, that even with Florida and Miami getting those visits, Florida State and Miami, I would still say that LSU is the team to beat for an in-state kid like him.
Shea Dixon's with us on 3, the Bengal Tiger. Shea, you did tell us last week to look out for Carius Kern, the number 1 interior offensive lineman in the country, pop for LSU. And they've sort of been on a bit of a heater. We'll get to the weekend here in a second. But what might be next for LSU coming off this monster recruiting weekend this past weekend?
Yeah, and really a long month. It was double-digit visitors almost every weekend, minus the one where they had Decorian Moore by himself here. And as I mentioned, they had some midweek official visitors. So I think we'll see a lot of these guys. They're all seniors, right? All about to be seniors. And NIL era or not, everybody's sort of kept to that. The large percentage have kept to that script of, hey, I'd like to do something before my senior year begins. Then I can just focus on school, football, all of that, and not have to worry about anything else. So a lot of guys are going to be lining up decision dates. I know July 4th is one that LSU fans will want to mark down. That's the day Zion Williams, 4-star D lineman out of Texas, will make his decision. And he's been a big-time target for LSU all along coming out of Lufkin. And the on-3 RPM has LSU as leader there. So D linemen, D tackles is what they certainly need. And I think Bo Davis will get one there, and they're heads up against teams like Texas and A&M. But DB, I think, is where we really see it, Matt, as dominoes start to fall. Jace Thomas out of Destrehan is the guy who's going to commit July 13th. He's got an LSU offer now, so I'm keeping an eye on him. And then I would look at guys like C.J. Jim Coyley, a safety out of Nashville, 4-star, who told me he's going to commit towards the end of July. I've got LSU as the team to beat on that one. And then a number of guys, whether it's a Cade Phillips, a corner that Corey Rain's been recruiting out of Texas, or Jason Stokes, another one, has said that at some point before their senior season, so July or August, that they'll announce a decision. I would think that after such a fast start on the offensive side, which is expected, they fired the entire defensive staff, so those guys are playing a little bit of catch-up to where the number 1 offense in the country, and that staff is, with recruiting this past season or coming off this past season. So I think that between now and the start of senior seasons, 75%, if not more, of these commits are going to be coming on defense.
All right, Shea Dixon's with us on 3, the Bengal Tiger. Shady, sit tight. We'll come back, and I want to pick up what happened this weekend. Tigers did pop 3 commits, and I want to talk about the rankings and all that stuff as well, so we'll get into it. We're brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Windows, door siding, Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Energy-efficient replacement windows, beautiful entry doors. Hardy plank vinyl siding, they do it all. Oh, yeah, they got indoor shutters as well. It's Relief Windows, where they will never, ever take $1 from you until they're done with the work and you're thrilled. That's Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Windows, door siding, ReliefWindows.com. Okay, quick break, come back. 3 commits this past weekend, the first 2 for the class of 2026. Shea Dixon's breaking down those 3. Also, looking big picture at the class of 25, what remains, the ranking, looking ahead to 26. All that good stuff with Shea next on AFR.
AFR.
We're brought to you by Action Industries, proud partner of LSU Athletics and Action Industries. Man, I was having a great conversation earlier today with some of the marketing folks about just how much buzz we're hearing around Action Industries, and we're thrilled for that because I'm so glad to be able to tell you about them every single day because this is a great local business. You know, for the first time, I drove down the Belrose and I met the folks over at Action, all the way to here recently when they invited me up to their suite at Smoothie King Center for a Pelicans game and got to just have some fellowship and some really good friendship time together. It's a pleasure to tell you about this local business that's been around since 1982. And maybe the most impressive thing is they know what they are. So if you're a maintenance manager, turnaround coordinator, you work in one of the the petrochemical refinery markets. Action Industries, they know what they are. If you need that 100-person job, that's their sweet spot, and you will be their biggest priority. It's Action Industries, proud partner of LSU Athletics.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $20,000 off new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $20,000 off the powerful Ram truck. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. So it's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
All right, glad you're rolling along with us here on this Tuesday edition of AFR. We'll talk some about college baseball. Ronnie Rants in about 45 minutes, and tomorrow starts the NBA draft. So Jake Madison will be here in hour number 3 to talk about what the Pels might do there in round 1. Some big news of Swin Cash being promoted today as well. She's the now highest-ranking female executive in the NBA. Awesome news. So we'll talk about that with Jake Madison in hour 3. Shay Dixon's with us on 3, the Bengal Tiger. He's on Twitter at Shay Dixon. Shay's good enough to spend a couple of segments with us. If you missed last segment, we talked about C.J. Wiley today, picking Florida State, Jabori Antoine's decommitment, how LSU can get him back. We'll get all that on demand. Shay, I want to recap what was, until Sunday's decommitment from Jabori Antoine, seemingly an incredible weekend for LSU. Let me start before the commitments with Bryce Underwood. Just the significance, Shay, of Underwood being on campus this past weekend for Friday Night Lights.
Out there.
Wait, I'm sorry, Shay, your phone cut out. Could you start over, please?
Yeah, well, I said it was massive. I mean, he flew back in from Michigan to Baton Rouge. This is the #1 overall prospect in the class, regardless of position, but the #1 quarterback in the country as well, or obviously, I should say. And he's still 16. He's going to be a senior. He doesn't turn 17 until August, and he's got well over 6'4", some of the best measurements in terms of hand size, wing in this class. I mean, he is what you draw up in a lab as an elite quarterback prospect, and that's what LSU's got right now with the work Joe Sloan and the staff has done. And he still has not made his official visit. He has visited, probably 3 or 4 times already again this year. But most importantly, this past weekend in town with Harlem Berry, their 5-star running back commit, with J.T. Lindsey, your other commit, a 4-star, who's a top 10 running back in the country. He was throwing to J.D. LaFleur, who is obviously LSU's tight end commitment right now coming out of Sulphur. And then Teron Francis, LSU's lone receiver commitment, was out there working with him. And defensively, I'm not even going to do this. I'm not going to name one of them. But Aiden Hall, a safety, a top 5 safety in the country out of Carr. The youngest Weeks brother, Whit and Wes' brother Zach, who's coming out of Oconee County. He's got an LSU offer. Blake Baker had him out there on kind of the first-team defensive unit. And I don't know. He's the number 1 safety in the country. It's for next year. His name's Bradford. He plays here in town. I can't remember the school.
I mean, we can try it. Let's go.
I'll give you. I was going to do the guess. I was just going to guess Catholic.
Got it.
Yeah, but it was a who's who. And so to have Underwood around all those guys is a big deal, and for them to be around him, right? I mean, they all kind of feel that early camaraderie and start to talk to each other in group texts and all that from there. So even from the On3 Elite series a month ago, which I was up there in Nashville for, when Harlem and Bryce were there, they said that since then they've talked every day. So I think the more you get these guys around each other, the better. And I've been to a lot of camps. I won't say how many, but a lot of years of LSU camps. I haven't seen a quarterback outside of, and Caleb Williams threw here once, so maybe that range, but it was one of the most impressive showings I've seen from a kid who's going to be a senior in high school. This kid is the real deal. We've got 7+ minutes of footage up on YouTube. I'm sure you can just Bryce Underwood or the Bengal Tiger. It's on there. You can watch it. He was phenomenal, Matt. So, yes, it is always good to have him down, and he'll be back for games and then an official visit. And then he said he's signing in December and has still not stepped foot on another campus in any recruiting capacity since he committed in January.
Music to everybody's ears. Everything else just seems so less significant with how great that appears to be going right now. Let me ask you about Colton Nussmeier, Garrett's younger brother. What kind of prospect is he? What are the deets there?
And younger brother, but not smaller brother. He's taller. He's taller at this point, and he's only going to be a sophomore, and he's already stacked up offers. But north of 6'3", I saw their dad was out there watching, obviously. Doug is a quarterback and a longtime coach. But when I joked with Garrett about Colton being taller than he was already going into the 10th grade, I tried to make the same joke to his dad, and they were not happy about it because when Dad gets passed up by the 10th grader, they wouldn't even go back to back. But good size. He's a lefty, so that's a bit of a switch up from obviously Garrett. But coming out of Marcus, as I said, I mean, TCU, SMU, Texas Tech, he's got some in-state offers there, but Ole Miss, North Carolina, you name it. I mean, he's up to probably 15, 16 offers by now. LSU will certainly have an eye on him with Joe Sloan doing the recruiting and having Garrett as a starting quarterback this year, and we'll see how it goes. That family is obviously, if he were to get an LSU offer, what would it mean? The 2027 class is a long way away, but that family's bounced around all over because of coaching and his playing career. So I wonder if that wouldn't mean settling into 2 straight Nussmeyers. We've seen it with others, the Jeffersons, the Weeks. We can keep on going here with the Nussmeyers, but we'll see how the next 2 years pan out.
Shay, let's talk about what we do know, the hay in the barn, so to speak, and 3 commits this past weekend. We'll start with we'll just go proximity. So we'll start with 2025. So Jesse Harold, an edge out of Tampa, 4-star commits. What's LSU getting here in Harold?
Big time. This was a guy that kept things like C.J. Wiley very close to the vest. But as a top 100 prospect, it just doesn't happen a ton. I mean, we've got him in On3 ranked as the number 9 edge rusher in the country and the number 66 overall prospect, regardless of position. Coming out of Tampa, he's got great size, someone that Peoples and this defensive staff had kind of identified early on when they got here, got him in for his official visit. Then he was supposed to go midweek to Georgia on an official visit and then spend this past weekend at A&M. And when he canceled both those visits and said, all right, I'm about to announce, it became evident, whoa, LSU might have pulled this off. And Friday, he called up the staff and committed on Saturday it was, I guess, made his college reveals. So that was a big addition. Like I said, we knew the defensive staff, given they all got here in January, and everybody else out there has been recruiting their guys, for the most part, for long past that, or long before that. But it would take them a minute to catch up to where the offense is with Brad Davis and what he's done on the O-line, and obviously what we've seen with Underwood and Barry and guys like that being in. But landing a guy like this as an edge rusher, I think, is a great first domino to drop. And we've seen them add linebackers already, but this is the first kind of edge D lineman, and they're still searching for that first DB. So, like I said, I think the next month will be heavy on defensive commitments, and Harold gets things rolling there. That's a big one.
Shay, I want to ask you about the On3 rankings, because a lot of people, I think we've just been conditioned for so long to how rankings look, and On3 I know does it differently. And the way that I've kind of stressed it to people is, well, On3 kind of does a quality over quantity type ranking. So there's LSU with just 12 commits, but third behind Ohio State, Georgia, which have 19 and 15 respectively, and Bama's fourth with 18 commitments. So LSU with far fewer commitments, third in the country. Can you explain how that works with On3?
Yeah, so I really do like how we do this, because I think it's the most accurate. We do a rolling count. So the average number of commits for Power 5, or whatever we're at now, Power 4, however you want to call it, programs out there, as the recruitment goes, obviously each team's getting more commits. Well, not everyone's moving at the same pace. Early on, a team could have 15 commits and another have 3 commits. Well, if one team has 3 commits and they're all 5 stars, and the other team has 15 and they're all 3 stars, which team's pacing better? And we go with a rolling number. So right now, that number is capped at 12. So it's an average of your best 12 commitments, and then that spits out your score. So Ohio State, like you said, with 19, Georgia 15, LSU with 12, Bama with 18, Clemson with 13, Notre Dame's above 20 at 21. But how I just listed those is the current order of the 1 through 6 in the On3 rankings, and with it going off of your best 12 commits and the average of whether they are 3 stars, 4 stars, 5 stars, whatever it might be. But LSU with 12 commits, Matt, their blue chip rating, which 11, I can do the math in my head, 11 of those 12 are either 5 stars or 4 stars, 2 of them are 5 stars, and 6 of the 12, so half of them are top 100 prospects. That's the highest blue chip rate of anyone in the country right now. The only one that would be above 90%. So, yeah, the only one above 90% right now out there with double-digit commits is LSU. So an impressive start for them with those double-digit guys.
And they got an early start on 2026 as well. So let's talk about each of these guys. Richard Anderson out of Carr in New Orleans. Let's start there. A little bit of his backstory and why he decided to become the first commit for 26.
Yeah, I think Carr kids, usually you can, if I were to name a handful of schools where they don't lose guys very often that they want, Carr would be one of them. So he's been exposed to the program at LSU. They've been after him for a long time. I'll tell you what he's ranked right now, Matt. 4-star, number 9 D lineman in the country, number 117 overall. Okay, I'm not on the rankings team. I'll bet he finishes higher than that. This is one of their better commitments. I think that in what is a very stacked 2026 class in Louisiana and whoever else they get from out of state. But we talk about guys like Blaine Bradford, Jakeem Stewart's the number 1 player in the country coming out of St. Aug next year. Lamar Brown here at U-High is a top 5 player right now. Bradford's a top 10 player. All those guys will be 5 stars, and they have a lot more guys in the state that are really elite. But Richard Anderson is in that conversation, and that's from talking to people at multiple programs, let alone what the folks coming out of, the coaches at Carr think. So that one's going to be a really big one. We'll look up down the road and at a need position like D-line, and when we get to talking about next year's class, they have already offered, I think, 4 or 5, Matt, D-linemen in Louisiana. So to knock one of those dominoes down early, especially him, is a really big one.
So Richard Anderson popped on Friday, and he became the first pledge for 2026. And again, these are rising juniors, guys that just finished their sophomore year of high school. So a long way to go before they get to a point where they can put pen to paper. But then a day later, Ja'Kai Anderson, another guy from the New Orleans area in McDonough 35, he announced. Shay, explain this a little bit, because as I understand it, when I look at his On3 profile, Ja'Kai Anderson is listed as a safety, but LSU offered him as a receiver.
Yes, and no relation between these two Andersons, pure coincidence. At least I don't think. But obviously, yes. A McDonough kid who's playing receiver. And They're not twins, I'll tell you that. There's very different bodies between these two guys. But yes, Ja'Kai just wrapped up in the fall, his sophomore year at McDonough. So you get a pair of New Orleans guys here. And they've dipped into 35 in the past when they've had, big time prospects, and he'll be one of them. He's already 6 feet. They've worked him out at receiver. He can play both, but he was at summer camp last year. I remember he was worked out at receiver. He got offered by the LSU staff during his sophomore season at McDonough 35. So clearly he was already someone that they've been targeting for well over 6 months. And then, which I like here, I think he camped at least twice. I saw him at least twice at LSU camp in the past few weeks, and he already had an offer. He didn't have to be out. A lot of these kids will get an offer and say, all right, I don't need to go work out anymore. But he was out there getting reps with the older guys at the elite camp and then again at Friday Night Lights. In fact, he was part of that receiver group when Underwood and Harlan Berry and J.T. Lindsey and Teron Francis, for instance, and J.D. LaFleur, all their commits, including now Anderson, were out there running around. So, yeah, I think they saw how he fit into that group and said, look, let's go ahead and push for his commitment, and they got it done. So nice to start next year, which, again, will be a very deep Louisiana group with your first 2 commits for the class being Louisiana guys.
Shay, before we let you go, let's put a button on the conversation just with, like, the 10,000-foot view. If you were to just give us the overview, not only how this weekend went, but how at this point Brian Kelly and this staff, which the whole defensive staff was made over, how they're doing on the recruiting trail. How would you best summarize it?
The number 3 class? I don't know. I can use one word or 2 words. Number 3? No, I think they've been excellent, Matt. And look, you can lose a Jabori Antoine, and maybe you get him back, and we won't know the end result of what the class looks like until signing day, right? And even then, you say, okay, well, let me see how it all unfolds on the field. But to be sitting and look, we can get into NIL discussions. I actually think that they're probably set up for NIL, and their approach and what they're able to pitch on official visits to kids is so far from where it was at this time a year ago when they had to go through June officials, that in a good way, right, that they're going to be able to compete with these other schools in regards to that and pitching kind of the highest level kids. But to be able to do this with Ohio State, Georgia, Bama, Clemson, those are the same teams before NIL, right, that were the who's who of college football, top classes. It doesn't look any different, and that's because I think that they stick to their formula and they execute it. And look, it doesn't get any bigger. You have a 5-star running back in the state in Harlan Berry. You had to get him. They did. And to go out and get Bryce Underwood, the number 1 player in the country, the number 1 quarterback, a guy who a lot of people considered sort of a generational type program changer, where every handful of 5-10 years a guy like him comes along that is just so clearly low ceiling or low floor, I should say, kind of end up a first-round NFL draft pick one day, and then build it from there and get him out of Michigan with no connections to LSU and just did it off of your product on the field, your coaches, what you've shown with development of Jaden Daniels. I think that's capitalizing on the success they had on that offense, right? Like, yes, they didn't make the New Year's Six or any of that because the defense was historically bad, but we're at least seeing beyond the Heisman, they have some things to take away from it and some first-round picks. It's that they've parlayed that into some really good recruiting, and now the defensive staff gets to settle in, and I think by the end, this will be a top 5 class, which is what Brian Kelly has had the past 2 seasons. So right on pace.
Shay Dixon, on 3, the Bengal Tiger. You're the best, man. Thanks so much for carving out 2 segments for us today. We appreciate it.
No problem at all. We'll talk next week, Matt.
All right, be well. That's Shay Dixon. It's AFR. We'll wrap up hour number 1 next.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. If you've been injured in an accident, you know what to do. Do what injured people in our state have done for more than 30 years. Get Gordon and get it done. 2 different ways you can contact him. Of course, you can always dial them up, 888-8888. They've got offices all over the state of Louisiana, so you can dial them up at 888-8888 or online at getgordon.com, getgordon.com. It's also the handle on all the social medias, but you know that. You want to see all the good content from the G team and everything Gordon puts out. Any of the social media handles, just at Get Gordon. You can see it right there. One of the things, of course, I love telling you about all the time, Gordon Gives, the charitable arm of Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. When you go to gordongives.com, you can see so much about the community outreach because Gordon talks about it often. And I've had the opportunity doing this partnership to get to know Gordon really well. And the thing that he always abundantly talks about is how fortunate he is, how much he wants to give back to the community. Does that through Gordon Gives. So you can learn more there as well at gordongives.com. You know what to do. Get Gordon and get it done.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
I got to go quickly. We do it every day. A little later, though, because we had Shay for 2 segments. Let's do Around the SEC.
Around the SEC, bringing you the biggest news from the nation's best conference, the Georgia Bulldogs.
Big get for Kirby Smart. The number 1 edge in the country, Isaiah Gibson, a 5-star. He has picked Georgia over USC, Auburn, and South Carolina. Number 1 edge in the country, number 27 nationally.
The Mississippi State Bulldogs.
Jeff Levy got another commitment. 3-star running back Jaden Hill picked the Bulldogs, 6'2", 220. He's a junior, so he's a class of 2026 prospect. Picked Mississippi State over Ole Miss, Florida, Oregon, Texas A&M, Auburn. 3rd commit for 2026.
The South Carolina Gamecocks.
Carolina flipped a quarterback commit from Wake Forest. His name is Cutter Woods, C-U-T-T-E-R, Cutter Woods. 6'2", 210, ranked number 729 overall in the country. That's what you get when you flip a kid from Wake Forest. Auburn, Syracuse, Virginia were also in the mix there. Now 14 commits for 2025.
The Arkansas Razorbacks.
Arkansas picked up its first pitcher out of the transfer portal. Lefty Landon Beidschleiss from Ohio State has picked Arkansas. 15 starts this past year, 91 strikeouts in 84 2/3 innings pitched.
The Florida Gators.
Florida center fielder Michael Robertson, who spent the last 3 years with the Gators, he's also hit the transfer portal. Is draft eligible, so could ultimately pick, choose to sign if he would. He hit just 246 this year, but in the NCAA tournament, hit 285 with 5 multi-hit games, so really came on late.
The Auburn Tigers.
Auburn running back Brian Battie continues to improve following the May 18th shooting that left him in critical condition and killed his older brother. According to Brian Battie's mother, he's been moved to intensive care rehabilitation facility in Sarasota. That was on June the 17th. You might remember the story. He suffered a gunshot wound to the head back on May the 18th. The great news, he does have movement in all of his extremities. He's been able to give a thumbs up. And as of today, Tuesday, they've raised more than $110,000 for the family on their GoFundMe. Sunshine through the dark times. There you have it. That is around the SEC. We're brought to you by First South Farm Credit, firstsouthland.com, firstsouthland.com. If you're thinking of buying land, use the lender that has helped Louisianians buy land since 1916, especially everybody in New Orleans. So we've seen this so much. So many people who live in New Orleans, you're starting to raise a family, choose to go move on to the North Shore. Maybe you want to buy land to build a house there on the North Shore where you get the city amenities but a more rural lifestyle. You want 100 acres in Tangipahoa, you can do it there with First South Farm Credit. Go to firstsouthland.com, firstsouthland.com. Your first call, your first option when it comes to buying land in Louisiana should be First South Farm Credit. Visit firstsouthland.com. All right, y'all, we're putting a button here on hour number 1. SportsCenter's coming up, get you caught up on national headlines. We got Ronnie Rants next hour and some NFL roster rankings. Where are the Saints? That's next, AFR.
AFR.
Hey, our friends over at the Williamson Eye Center, again this October, are the presenting sponsor of Federalis Fest, great music festival coming up October over at the Live Oak Arabians in Baton Rouge. So tons of good info, and they actually just had the headliner announcement today with Whitey Morgan, who's going to be headlining Federalis Fest in October over at Live Oak Arabians in Baton Rouge. So if you're interested, get your tickets, find out more. You can go to the Williamson Eye Center page there on Facebook or any of the social media accounts. As we tell you all the time, look, eye care, eyewear, and eye surgery, that's the Williamson Eye Center. So if you need your annual eye exam, the Williamson Eye Center can help. If you need to buy contacts or glasses, the Williamson Eye Center can help. And if you want to ditch the contacts and glasses forever, there's a refractive procedure available for any eye issue. Just go for that consultation with Dr. Blake Williamson. Get them online at williamsoneye.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $20,000 off new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $20,000 off the powerful Ram truck. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. It's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Brack, your #1 park system in the nation.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Knicks guard OG Anunoby heading for NBA free agency after opting out of his nearly $20 million option for next season. His next contract could be worth more than $35 million a year. Health is the biggest question mark when it comes to Anunoby. He's missed 76 games combined the last 3 seasons. Warriors GM Mike Dunleavy continues to maintain the team wants Klay Thompson back and hopes the veteran guard will be. Contract talks, though, still at a standstill. Not much communication between the sides. Golden State is facing a dilemma when it comes to one of the pillars of its dynasty, points out ESPN NBA writer Zach Lowe.
And here's the reality for the Warriors. As long as Curry is there, they have an obligation to try to win, to try to contend. The question is, does Klay help that goal enough to hold back a little bit Moses Moody and Kuminga and Podziemski and all the players they need to start playing more to transition to the next era?
Our Zach Lowe on Get Up. Hockey Hall of Fame announced its class of 2024, headlined by former NHL stars Pavel Datsyuk and Shea Weber. Inductions are in November.
As humans, we like having options. One option you might like is speaking with a real person when you call about your credit card. With 24/7 live, U.S.-based customer service from Discover, everyone can talk to a real person anytime, day or night. Limitations apply. See terms at discover.com/credit card.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
Let's ride!
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad to have you with us. It's AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
You're a loser, man!
Hey, shut up, kid. Cassie Spazelli.
I'm walking here! I'm walking here!
Alondra Villarreal. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there, make it a good one. Slimbo, old Ronnie Rants. He'll be here in about 15 minutes from right now. We'll talk a little college baseball, transfer portal, all that good stuff. Tennessee, the national champion. Is Jim Schlossnagle headed to Texas? So we should find out an answer soon. I can't imagine Texas is going to dawdle with this hire, so we should have an answer, and that should set off a new sort of cycle in the portal. Because remember, with Schlossnagle or with David Pierce, being fired at Texas players now have a 30-day window to enter the portal. And then whoever Texas hires, that school will have a 30-day window with their players in the portal. So you should have a new wave of players hitting the transfer portal with this new round of coaching carousel. So we'll get to all that with Ronnie here in about 15 minutes from right now. I was perusing the interwebs today, and ESPN.com has a piece up right now and it's a collection of their NFL contributors, where they're ranking the NFL rosters heading into camp. And I'm not going to bury the lead. I think we all understand what the Saints are. They're a team that not many people are going to be high on this year. And they collectively ranked the New Orleans Saints with the 20th overall roster in the NFL, 20th. For what it's worth, what I found really interesting is that they've got Atlanta one spot ahead at number 19. And that was the highest spot in the division. So you got Atlanta at 19, the Saints at 20, the Bucks at 22, and Carolina at 29. Incidentally, I saw today where Florio over at Pro Football Talk put out his pre-camp power rankings, and this one blew me away. Blew me away. He's got Tampa Bay at number 9. So Mike Florio has Tampa Bay at 9. ESPN had Tampa Bay at 22. One of the most massive disparities you'll see. For what it's worth, Vegas has Tampa's projected win total at 7.5. So same as the Saints. So they're kind of what in the eyes of Vegas. But Florio, anyway, at Pro Football Talk, very high on Tampa in this division. I don't know that anybody should be on anybody in this division, which is why it's inherently winnable. It's why the Saints really have a shot, because I don't think anybody in the division is going to be great. And Atlanta this year is in the same position the Saints were a year ago, where you got the veteran free agent quarterback that everyone thought, okay, that makes you the best in a bad division. It makes you the tallest short kid. And it didn't work out. Baker Mayfield, the Bucs won the division. They may do it again this year, but we'll see. But what was more interesting, I think, about this ESPN piece, ranking the rosters. In so doing, they also looked at some of the sort of questions or superlatives of the roster, like biggest strength, biggest weakness, X factor, etc. Y'all, I could not disagree more with what these ESPN contributors wrote. I don't know that it's possible for me to disagree more with. Now, I agree with them about where they have the Saints roster ranked, about 20. That feels about right. Not in the bottom 5 of the league. I mean, you still got talent. It's aging talent. I mean, you won 9 games a year ago. You were 9-8. You're not an awful team, but you're not in the top half of the league. But they ranked the biggest strength on the New Orleans Saints as edge rusher. The biggest strength on this team. Y'all, if edge rusher is the biggest strength on the New Orleans Saints team this year, then the New Orleans Saints will be a 4-win football team. Like, let me remind you, the Saints last year had 34 sacks. 34. That was 28th in the league. You were 28th out of 32 teams at sacking the quarterback. Cam Jordan is coming off the worst season of his career since his rookie year. Isaiah Foskey and Peyton Turner look like busts right now. Tano Passanio has a ruptured Achilles. Chase Young, you went and signed him. Great. He missed a chunk of last year. And oh, by the way, just had neck surgery. Carl Granderson is great. That's about it. Now, maybe Chase Young looks like he did the middle 2 years of his career, or when he was rookie of the year. Maybe Chase Young plays to that level. Maybe Cam Jordan drinks from the fountain of youth. Maybe Granderson has another great year. Maybe Foskey or Turner decide to earn their money. That's a lot of maybes. You're going to tell me that's your biggest strength on the team? Yeah, if that's the biggest strength on this team is in for a long year. Now, they also looked at the biggest weakness, and they ranked the biggest weakness as interior defensive line. Now, I agree that interior defensive line is certainly a question mark, maybe even a weakness on this team. That's fair. I mean, last year, the Saints were 22nd against the run. For a team that had its hallmark of going like 3 years without allowing a 100-yard rusher, their run defense last year was abysmal. Part of the reason the Saints' pass defense statistically looked so good wasn't that their secondary played great. It was that team just got a lead and ran the ball against the Saints and ran out the clock. So I agree that the run defense is a question. But the biggest weakness on this team is undeniable, and it's the offensive line. I mean, that is not only the worst unit on this team, that's one of the worst units in the entire NFL. You lose 3 starters on that offensive line. The only 2 you have returning are Eric McCoy and Cesar Ruiz, who's one of the worst graded at his position. Trevor Penning, who had a 73% pass block win rate last year at tackle, which is one of the worst in the NFL. You're hoping is your starting right tackle. Taliasi Fuongu, I think, has a high ceiling, might be starting at left tackle as a rookie, and maybe it's Nick Saldiveri, a guy that was a healthy scratch and a tackle eligible last year, is your left guard. I mean, the worst unit, the biggest weakness on this team is by a mile the offensive line. Now, they listed X factors as offensive tackles and the non-starter to know as wide receiver A.T. Perry. And I do find that interesting. I think A.T. Perry could be that. Look, somebody's got to break out. Somebody in this receiver room has to be there to catch passes after Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed, who we're all high on. But is it A.T. Perry? Maybe. Is it Bub Means? Maybe. Is it Cedric Wilson, a veteran guy who had some really nice seasons in Dallas? Maybe. So, yeah, A.T. Perry could be that guy. But my guess for that would be Kendre Miller. Because I think we've looked at this so much now at the running back spot, and especially with Alvin Kamara's contract situation that's going on right now. I mean, I don't know that New Orleans is going to feed and feature Alvin Kamara at this point in his career, especially with the contract issue. I think you have to find out what you have in Kendre Miller. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you do that to spite Kamara. It's that you used a third-round pick on Kendre Miller last year. He was slowed a little by injury. If he's healthy, you got to find out what you have. Because, he was a third-round pick. You don't have the fifth-year option. Now you got to figure out what you got, because by the end of year 3, you need to be deciding, are you extending him? Because if not, then he's hitting free agency after his 4th year. So Kendre Miller would actually be that guy for me. Or, on the other side of the ball, Jordan Howden, a guy that, with Marcus May being gone, is probably going to start for you at safety. He and Jonathan Abram, either way, is going to play a ton. Those would be the two guys that I would give you before I'd give you A.T. Perry. But a long way to go with the New Orleans Saints. But when you see the roster rankings, Pro Football Talk ranks the Saints roster 24th. ESPN ranks it 20th. Vegas over under 7.5. There's not a lot to say. I mean, we're going to spend a lot of time between now and the start of camp having the same conversations over and over until we start getting some of the answers in training camp about this team. And hopefully they're answered to the positive and to the affirmative. But it's one of those where I can't just believe it. I got to see it. Because it's 3 years now without the playoffs, and so much of the mistakes feel like it's Groundhog's Day. So until I see something different, I'm just not going to believe it's going to get fixed until I see it. I'll tell you something I do believe in, something I've seen myself. The new menu items over at Supper Club. They're open. It's Tuesday to Saturday. Supper Club is open. Man, was over there a few weeks back, right there on Perkins Road. Got to experience the new menu items over at Supper Club. Y'all, divine. I'm telling you. I got to sample the Omi beef. That's the steak, the Japanese beef that they used to feed to samurais. The farm is 400 years old. They thought it had like special powers. It's incredible. The herb beef. There are 3 restaurants in the United States of America that are serving this on a trial basis. This herb beef. And the story is they gave the cows this herb beef because they thought it would help like digestion and different things like digestive tract. And what it ended up doing was making this incredible flavor of the beef. Well, there's only 3. There's 2 in Manhattan and Supper Club on Perkins Road in Baton Rouge. That's it. In the United States of America, the only 3 places you can go to get this herb beef, 2 of them in Manhattan, 1 at Supper Club. But y'all, I'm going to tell you, even with all that, the veal parm. I have dreams about that veal parm. I mean, they bring the veal cutlet out, breaded, fried, piping hot on a plate, and then table side, they serve you with a skillet that has all the cheese and the basil and all the everything, and then they lay that on top of the veal chop. And the reason they do it table side is so the veal chop stays crispy. Oh, and then they shave Parmesan fresh. Get the block of Parmesan, shave it fresh right on top, right at your table. It's incredible. It's at Supper Club. SupperClubBTR.com, y'all. SupperClubBTR.com. Book your reservations. You want a night out celebrating a birthday, an anniversary, or just because you want to go to Supper Club. SupperClubBTR.com. SupperClubBTR.com. All right, y'all. It's after further review. Glad to have you hanging out with us here. A really good day. Tennessee is college baseball's national champion. We open up the show talking a little bit about that and my thoughts on Jim Schlossnagle possibly taking that Texas job. Let me knock out a quick break. When we come back, Ronnie Rants will be here. I want to get his thoughts on transfer portal, the possibility of Jim Schlossnagle bouncing. Got to find out from Ruger Ron what's going on with the Rugaroo. So we'll get to all that with Ronnie Rants in studio. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouse's.com. Rouse's.com. Y'all, there are nearly 70 Rouse's locations. From Lake Charles to Orange Beach, Alabama, and points in between. So, man, even if you're heading out to the beach this summer, find that Rouse's near you. I mean, between here and Orange Beach, you got Rouse's near you. So get on by any of those Rouse's locations. One of the things that's always so impressive, and I've told you this story before, but when I went to the Rouse's Media Day last year and every different department made a presentation for all of their media partners, the thing that stood out most to me is the great lengths they go to source locally. For all of their Rouse's branded items, you see the red R with the circle around it, that logo. Every single Rouse's branded item, anytime they can source any ingredient locally, they do. Their fish, the relationships, for the decades-long relationships they've had with fishermen to get all the Gulf seafood, it's so admirable and incredible. It's why you get the freshest product. It's at Rouse's. This feels like home.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction.
Now maybe. After further review powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Always appreciate our friends over at Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. You need a tractor, you need farm equipment, of course, it's the best. Maybe you got a lawn service crew. Upgrade to John Deere. Get that John Deere green on those trailers. Our friends over at Sunshine. Bunkie and below. You want Deere, you got Sunshine. Sunequip.com, sunequip.com. Speaking of green.
Well, it looks good. That John Deere logo on the screen looks good behind that Rougarou.
Oh, the Rougarou. And Rougaron, who's in studio with us now. How are you? Ronnie Rants in studio. How are you, man?
I'm doing great, man. Doing great. I'm all Rougarou now because the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame induction was this past week, and putting it to bed by the end of the week. In the month of July, will be 100% Rougarou.
Man, what a class, too. Simone Augustus was part of that class. DC. Of course, Drew Brees was part of the class as well. I mean, those are pretty incredible years when you have it work out that way.
They are, but like my takeaway from the class, I probably will. I mean, Simone was amazing, and Simone really showed a lot of love to Baton Rouge. Talked about Baton Rouge and how that was a big part of why she chose LSU. But Simone's not a big talker. She's just not. But I mean, we think of Simone as this 24-year-old still, but she's a grown. She's older. She's like your age, right?
I'm 42. I think Simone's maybe a year or two behind me.
Yeah. So I mean, she's a woman. She's going to probably be a head coach of an SEC team one day, right?
Yeah.
And she was fantastic as a speaker, storyteller, and each and every time she spoke during the weekend, she just got better and better. But Kevin Jackson and Ray Sabile will be the two names that I probably remember the most. Ray Sabile, jockey, won over 4,600 races in his career from Sunset, Louisiana. I'm sure he's got a John Deere tractor.
Yeah, let's go.
And then Kevin Jackson, people don't realize if you're under the age of 40, you have no clue that LSU had a wrestling program back until the mid-'80s. And this guy was a 3-time All-American who ended up going and winning a gold medal in 1992 in Barcelona. And he's currently Team USA wrestling coach, Michigan wrestling coach. Those two were amazing people, and that's pretty much what my biggest takeaways.
Yeah, there he is right there. You can pull up on the back screen. Yeah, so a great time today. Y'all do a great job with the event there at the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. I got to go work one year on the purple carpet with Lynn Rollins, and a fantastic event.
And for those that didn't go, tune in July 11th, Louisiana Public Broadcasting. There's going to be a 2-hour special from 7 to 9 live on TV across the state.
It's worth catching. I mean, the amount of and you mentioned with Simone, I know Kim Mulkey was there. I saw the picture of Kim with Simone.
Lionel Washington was there, 15 years NFL, great Tulane DB. Many. Burt Jones in the house. I mean, it was awesome.
It's a pretty cool thing. You have to wait till next year, but if you ever want to pop up to Natchitoches for that event, if you're want pictures and autographs and stuff like that, it's kind of where these superstar are super accessible. I mean, it's just everybody's walking around.
Right.
It's all in the same room together. Yeah. It's not there's the people you're up in the balcony and everybody's at the tables like at the Oscars. No, you're just with everybody. It's a really cool thing.
Charles Duncan's there. He's getting autographs.
It's pretty cool. Ronnie Rants in studio with us. Did you have a lesser of two evils with Tennessee and Texas A&M?
No, I was pulling for A&M because I do have a little bit of a relationship with Schlossnagle going back to his Tulane days and TCU, and he coached at UNLV. I've known him a long time. I like the man. He's a great coach. And, of course, Nolan Cain. Nolan Cain, of course, a good friend, and played at LSU, was on the 2009 National Championship team, did a great job as an assistant for many years. And so I was squarely pulling for A&M. Yeah, I had no interest in Tennessee winning, although I thought they would.
Yeah, before the tournament started, I actually, not the College World Series, the whole tournament, I picked A&M to win.
Mm-hmm.
And it's right there on the doorstep with a 1-0 lead in the championship series. But I'm with you. It was very hard for me to find any rooting interest in Tony Vitello. I think A&M would have been my choice, but the way it went. And now everything shifts. I'm glad you brought up Schloss. I'd love your thoughts on all the work. I mean, I don't know if you're hearing it, Ronnie, but I'm hearing I'm in Baton Rouge, I'm hearing it.
Right.
Clearly, there's a lot of buzz there about him and the possibility of taking over for David Pierce.
Well, you can connect the dots, right? And the dots are very simple. Is that his old AD at TCU is now currently the AD at Texas, and they're good friends. Schlossnagle stayed at TCU a long time, longer than people thought, because Scott Woodward wooed him to go to A&M when he was the AD, and he turned him down because he had that good of a relationship with TCU and the program and his boss. And so now it's expected. It's a battle royale, right? You got two programs that have the most money of everybody in America, Texas and Texas A&M. How bad do you want Schlossnagle? But what we don't know is what is his loyalty to A&M. A&M's going to be able to pay him whatever they need to. If Texas supposedly the number's $2.5 million, that's the number that's been floated out there that they're willing potentially Texas to go to $2.5 million to get him. Well, is A&M willing to go to 2.5? They surely can.
You can.
They can. But even if they only go to 2, are you going to leave for the 5, or is there some things behind the scenes we don't know? But that would be unbelievable if he leaves Texas A&M, because I believe he can accomplish everything he wants at A&M just like he can at Texas. I don't think there's any advantage to going to Texas over Texas A&M. You want to win a national championship? You can do it at Texas A&M just as easily. So we'll see what he decides.
You got a better roster. By the way, Bluebell Park's beautiful. They're building a new $90 million stadium. You have all the stuff.
Right, there's nothing wrong with where they are.
For sure, but doesn't that speak to just what you said? There's a relationship with Chris Del Conte, and maybe you're just not like sometimes there are things behind the scene that you don't know that you just don't love about where you are, and sometimes you think there's greener pastures. But like Jim Schlossnagle, I don't. I only know him on the periphery, having maybe interviewed him here or there. But
He's only been what is this? His third? It was just his third year.
He was hired at A&M the same year Jay was hired. Like he desperately wanted the LSU job.
He wanted the LSU job. He expressed that privately that he was interested, but the timeline
to everybody.
Yeah, but the timeline was that A&M's offer came where LSU's was still a couple weeks away, and so the same reason why Nolan Cain's potentially at A&M as an assistant and not LSU, or that LSU's pitching coach went to A&M first, just because that job opened up a couple of weeks before LSU's did. But it's only been 3 years, and everything he's wanted to accomplish, he's been able to accomplish. And I was talking to Nolan Cain, the pitching coach that they got was a former Major League guy who has a lot of great ties to Major League Baseball scouts and agents and all that kind of thing. And he was in the boardroom for Seattle, like when the draft room, he's in there helping make decisions. Sure. And Nolan was telling me a year ago that they are now getting players to come take visits, and they are having relationships with agents that they never had before. And that it was allowing them to get in on a lot of guys because there's a trust factor because of the relationship they built in pro baseball. So they have everything ready to go, including that new stadium. What does he want to do personally? I have no idea. But then what happens? They're going to come strong for Jay. Either one of them is going to come strong for Jay.
What do you mean, Texas or Texas A&M?
I would think that.
Oh, they've already made that call.
Yeah.
Texas already made that call about 3 weeks ago. So I know Jay denied it. Look, he's got plausible deniability, as every coach. You know how this works, right? But
he gets told no through someone else, and it never gets to him.
Right. It's however it goes. But I think when they call, you take half a second to consider it.
Sure.
But,
like Paul Maneri did when Texas came calling in his house a few years ago.
It's funny how like a lot of those things exist kind of as I don't want to say as like as theory because it's just sort of fodder. People wonder like, is it true? Is it half truths? But like as time passes, you start to understand like people are more willing to speak candidly and openly, like as sort of the statute of limitations passes. You realize a lot of these things are real. Like I was mentioning it yesterday, Ronnie. The Les Miles Michigan stuff in 2007, like that was a real thing. He was going to Michigan. Kirk Herbstreit spilled the beans on game day. Les had to do that funny press conference. They win. All the upsets happen. Now he's playing for national championship. Guess what? He ain't going to Michigan anymore.
Right.
Like he's playing for a national championship. The decision's been made.
Right.
But that morning he woke up thinking he was going to Michigan. So you never know. I mean, until it's like done. Is it? It's never done until it's like really done.
Well, David Pierce, who's just got let go by Texas, I mean, he literally was probably their 9th choice. I mean, I'm not exaggerating, 9.
Yeah.
I mean, they went through the gambit of all the big guys in this, and they thought they had Tadford over at Texas Tech. He wanted the job. He said, I'd take it. But then Texas Tech said, not so fast, my friend. Look in your contract. And it was a gigantic buyout. Yeah. And then I was like, oh. And then they ended up, was it Tadlock or Tadford?
I know it's
Tadlock, the coach at Texas.
They had a good run at Tech for a minute.
And so anyway, they ended up getting David Pearson. He was like probably their 8th or 9th option.
But that's why this, in the situation that Texas is in now, they were avoiding that. Mm-hmm. They were not going to fire David Pierce without having their guy ready to go, right? So they weren't going to go through that whole public situation where they were being told no a whole bunch. So it was a thing where, where they had to, like, they were going to have their guy ready to go whenever's done. Anyway, Ronnie Rants is in studio with us. We're glad to have you aboard. Hey, by the way, Rougarou, y'all are on the field tonight?
Tonight and tomorrow night. Rougarou at home tonight, Tuesday, Wednesday. We don't play again at home till July 6th because of an all-star break next week. So get your Rougarou in tonight. Relief Windows is going to be on the party deck, and the boys, they got the whole crew out there tonight. We're excited about that. And then tomorrow night is Win-Win Wednesday. The Rougarou win, you win. You get a free ticket on the way out the ballpark. Tonight is 2 for Tuesday at the concession stand. A bunch of items are only $2.
You're like a great minor league promoter.
Yeah.
Like you have to find all the ways to be creative because like the game is part of the entertainment, but the whole experience is the entertainment.
We got the
as well.
fun jumps for the kids, the mascot. We do fireworks on Friday night thanks to Jerry Lane Chevrolet, and just there's always something. We have a strikeout batter. We identify the beer batter of the game. If he strikes out, all beers 2 for 1 for the next 5 minutes after he strikes out.
Has it happened yet?
Oh, it happens at least once a week, probably. Yeah. So
the crowd's like, yeah. Like if I'm that guy batting, I'm up there.
Choke it up.
Yeah, man. I'm with it on purpose. I'm making these people fall in love with me. You know what I mean? I want to be the strikeout batter.
So look, the announcer's literally like, that's strike 2. If he strike one more strikeout, and everybody's 2 for 1 beers.
Like I would seriously just be like, hey, give me the old number 1. I'm leaving the bat on my shoulder. Just come on, just pipe one through here. What do you think, Ronnie Rants, for a couple more minutes here? What do you think about the portal class for LSU so far?
So far, so good. Jay Johnson talked about last year the challenges of winning a national championship, how it puts you behind the 8 ball in the portal because you can't really start messing with it full time till after, till this week if you were LSU.
Yeah.
And you still got all these celebrations and everything else going on. They've had 3 weeks, and it showed. And look, we're not done. I mean, look, if you look at this LSU roster, you look at Gage Jump and you look at Holman, they all weren't signed on mid-late July.
Yeah.
So, I mean, LSU's got a whole nother month to go. Like, it's going to be the portal's going to be very good to them.
And with Texas now firing Pierce, those players have a new 30-day window, and whoever they hire, that team will have a 30-day window. So you're about to get this new influx of more players in the portal as well.
Buy your roster. Make sure you go online because you're going to have to figure out who all these new faces are.
Do you have, real quick, biggest need? What do you think they still have left? Biggest need they got to fill?
Biggest need, infield. Like you'd love to get some veteran infielders that you can hang your hat on. I'm talking about third, short, second as far as defense. Like, know what you're getting, right?
Yeah.
Not like, well, we think this guy's a freshman, going to be pretty talented. Well, we got some guys, but they haven't done it yet. Like, I want some tried and true guys. In the portal, that's what it's there for, to get tried and true, not experiments.
Yeah. Ronnie Rants, of course, director of the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, host of Sports Shorts, of course, the owner of the Baton Rouge Rougarou. Here is where you were deemed Rougaron. It was
Terrio in this seat.
Terrio in that seat last year, 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Called you Rougaron, and it's stuck. I think you need to change your Twitter handle to Rougaron. I think your jacket your shirt should be embroidered that say Rougaron on it. I would own it. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Matt.
All right. By the way, brrougarou.com for tickets, or of course at the gate up at Goolsby Field. brrougarou.com. That's Ronnie Rants. Stay with us here at AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Clegg's Nursery with 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. You know where to find them. Seagoneer Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. Tell you every day to buy local and shop local. Clegg's has been around for 60 years, man. That's hard to believe just to say that. Like, how many businesses come and go? 6 decades Clegg's has been there, and they've just continued to grow and expand. As a matter of fact, if you go over to Seagon, the Seagon location, they're expanding. They're building an extension and expansion of the greenhouse at the Seagon location. So we were over at the Texas Club last Friday for the Battle of the Bands. Passed right by the Clegg's, the Mid-City Clegg's. It's literally you turn off of Florida onto Donmore. It's right there on the right before you get to the Texas Club, that Clegg's Nursery. So no matter what part of town you're in, Mid-City on Donmore, the Denham Springs location on LA 16, of course the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs, and the Seagon Lane location near Airline, it's Clegg's Nursery. Buy local, shop local. They've been doing it for more than 60 years. Tell them Matt sent you in when you go see our friends today at Clegg's Nursery.
There's nothing chill about a hot, sweaty line. Unless you add Mountain Cold Refreshment. Coors Light. Choose chill.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off F-150. $10,000 off the new 2024 Ford F-150. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
There it is. Hadn't heard it all day. Alondra, do you like country music?
I do. I didn't know this was a thing, though.
Yeah, so, of course, with it being... You can leave it going a little bit there. Let it breathe. While we explain. Yeah, so Musso is at the beach this week. Excuse me. Musso is at the beach. Muse is at the beach this week. His name is Matt Musso, but in the context of this show, he's known as Muse.
Yeah.
Actually, he's an ode to Skip Bertman, who called him Matthew Musso. So that just stuck. And
it's you got to keep that, yeah.
So of course our show is brought to you by Sunshine, John Deere Dealer. We play tractor songs. Then we just got on the habit of saying, hey, I told Muse, I was like, just play this song every break.
Okay.
So where it's unmistakable, people know what today is.
Yeah.
Pretty good at doing the earworm thing, Alondra. Things that stick,
Yeah.
Like the Todd Peterson thing.
Mm-hmm. I know, I'm sorry.
Ted Peterson. There it is. You know what I mean? Guy hadn't played at LSU in 6 years. People still, he's a cult icon. We made that dude. Well, it helped that he hit the ball at the wall in the SC tournament against South Carolina and had the whole viral reaction to all of this, everything. But we were doing the Todd Peterson bit here. Ted Peterson. For 3 years before he ever hit that ball. All right. Cassie, do you like country music?
I do like country music.
Okay. Who's your favorite country artist?
I think right now it's Kane Brown.
Okay. Kane Brown was our sister station, 100.7 The Tiger, did a Kane Brown concert several years ago before he was like super massive. It was just on his come up.
I saw him at by Country Superfest a couple years ago, like when they still had it.
Yeah.
And that kind of just
they don't do that anymore.
Really like him. No.
Remember when Taylor Swift was there? Imagine if Taylor Swift was in Tiger Stadium now.
God, she probably beat Garth.
Yeah. Oh God. I mean, Garth is huge, but Taylor Swift could play she could go to the Vatican and have a bigger crowd than the Pope would.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just insane what she is right now. Okay. All right, you can kill the Kenny Chesney. Don't kill Kenny Chesney. Kill the Kenny Chesney song. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Thank you. Okay. And of course, Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Great pricing too. I mean, if you got one of those other brands and you're thinking, Deere's too expensive, you might be surprised. I think it beat price. It's all, of course, the best quality. Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Did y'all see? You probably don't know. I'm going to guess you don't know the name Antoine Hill. Do you know the name Antoine Hill?
I do not.
All right. So Antoine, I didn't think so. That's okay. So Antoine Hill is a high school quarterback. He is ranked the number 20 quarterback in the country. So big-time prospect, a high school quarterback prospect. And Antoine Hill has offers from tons of big-time schools. Florida State, Texas A&M, some really big-time schools. Well, he made his commitment. He had been committed to Colorado, decommitted, and ended up this weekend making his commitment to Memphis. So you have and this is one of the great NIL stories of the world of college football now. So Antoine Hill, here you have a guy who basically passes on, who did I say? Florida, Florida State, Texas A&M. He's out of Georgia, has some huge offers. Well, in his recruitment graphic, Hayes Fawcett does the graphics for everybody when they do their commitment. They call them edits, actually, in his edit. Look at the bottom of Antoine Hill's edit. You see what's there at the bottom?
Some tigers.
No, not tigers.
Oh, FedEx.
FedEx boxes. Yeah. There are tigers there.
Yeah. I'm like, tiger?
He's sitting in a throne, right? And there's a jungle scene behind him with two tigers walking behind the throne. And then there at his feet are FedEx boxes. We have gotten to the point now where commitment edits are being sponsored. You wonder why Antoine Hill, by the way, Antoine Hill told reporters why he chose Memphis. Quote, "It came down to the opportunity to get on the field earlier. That was just a big reason for me."
Not the FedEx.
You mean it's not the FedEx boxes at your feet in the edit? By the way, FedEx is based out of Memphis, which I'm sure many of you know, and so clearly they're a big benefactor, and they broke this dude off. They gave him a big bag. Yeah, I'll pass on Florida, Florida State, Texas A&M. I'll go spend my Saturdays at the Liberty Bowl in front of 25,000 people in a dumpy stadium playing against crappy opponents. Because, there's FedEx boxes at my feet right now, and they broke me off. So good on you, kid. But it illustrates, again, that every kid, every recruit, every prospect is going to have different priorities. Some want playing time. Some want proximity to home. Some want a little NIL, but the opportunity to develop to get to the next level. And some are just going to want a bag. And this is an example of a kid who just wants a bag. And you know what? I don't blame him. Get it? Go to Memphis. Maybe you're there for a year. And then you leave. We saw Quinn Ewers do it. Quinn Ewers got, reportedly, 7 figures to go to Ohio State. Was there for 1 year, sat, and then went to Texas. Got broke off again. Good on you. Work the system of that. The system is there to be used however it might. And that's how he's chosen to use it. Now he'll exist for his college career in total obscurity, total football obscurity, because nobody watches Memphis, nor will they. But Antoine Hill decided Florida, nah. SEC, nah. Texas A&M and your $250 million stadium, all your NIL money, not so much interested. Florida State just went undefeated. Should have played for a college football playoff. Great recruiting classes. Nah. Going to Memphis. I want that American swag, that American Athletic Conference swag. I can't wait to tee it up and kick it off against Tulane in front of 26,000 people. That's what I'm looking forward to. God bless you, kid. Get your bag. All right, it's After Further Review. We're glad you're hanging out with us here. We're brought to you by Parish Construction and Roofing. ParishBuilt.com, ParishBuilt.com. I was talking to my partners earlier today over at Parish Construction and Roofing, and a couple of things I got to tell you about. Number one, the state of Louisiana has expanded the fortified roofing program. If I summarize it, it's basically this. Insurance companies give you significant tax breaks on your premium if you have a fortified roof, because a fortified roof is aimed at preventing water intrusion. So storm comes, blows some shingles off, that's still going to happen. But if you have a fortified roof, it's extra layers of protection under the shingle, which prevents water intrusion. Because what gets really expensive for the insurance companies is when you have to cut sheetrock and replace carpet and replace the contents of the home. So by installing a fortified roof, and by the way, so the state of Louisiana has a grant program whereby homeowners can get a $10,000 grant to fortify your roof. And, of course, you can lower your insurance premiums with your insurance company. So we can help you do everything at Parish. We are a certified fortified roofing company. Not only can we install the fortified roof, we can help you get in line with the state, help you get your fortified roof claim approved, all that good stuff. Give us a shout at Parish Construction and Roofing. 364-1007. We service the entire state of Louisiana. Saturday morning, got a call from the North Shore. We had crews in the Bayou region. Alex, Shreveport, we're all over. ParishBuilt.com, ParishBuilt.com, or give us a shout. And the 225-364-1007, 364-1007, Parish Construction and Roofing, ParishBuilt.com. All right, y'all, it's After Further Review. The NBA draft starts tomorrow night. Jake Madison's going to be here in 30 minutes from right now. We're looking forward to talking to Jake. about the draft and what the Pels should be looking at there with a late first-round pick. Of course, you can always tweet us or text us in the 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. I want to read this question real quick. I don't know if I'm going to have time to get to it right now, but maybe I'll start and we can get to it in the next segment. But this is a text from Jesse who said, Matt, I had a question for you. With the Power 4 split happening in college football, do you see a scenario where smaller schools or schools that are not in the Power 4 could move into that power group, or have schools move out of that group like relegation in European soccer? So it's a good question. To be clear, the Power 4 aren't splitting amongst themselves. Ross Dellinger had a great piece that's up right now at Yahoo if you want to read it. We talked about it yesterday on the show. But effectively, all of the Division I conference commissioners, again, not the Power 5, all of Division I conference commissioners were meeting in Florida this week, and the conclusion is Division I is going to be fractured. It is going to be separated further than it is. You're not going to have all the teams in Division I that you currently have. You're going to have a different classification altogether. That's now how it's structured. That's what they're talking about. But they came to the decision that it's going to break and be restructured. My thought is it's going to go one of two ways. Like, who gets into the halves, like the big group? It's either going to be invite only based on your market value, or it's going to be a buy-in. Like, you have to be able to afford to be in. So to his question, could any of like the group of 5 find their way in? Yes. Memphis, who we just talked about, it's a pretty good example, right? If you have the backing of FedEx and they're going to pony up, you have the opportunity. SMU just bought their way into the Power 5 or the Power 4. You read the story how that happened. SMU originated a record-breaking fundraising effort, essentially to be able to tell the ACC, hey, we don't even need distribution. Like 10 years, we would like 10 years without you giving us any distribution. Just let us in your league. We'll be fine. Because they raised enough funds and commitments from billionaires to say, we got you. Whatever you need, we'll make sure that y'all run. Like, they can do it. Liberty is a cash-rich athletic department. The facilities there are insane. I mean, Ross Dellinger did a whole piece when he went and stayed with Hugh Freeze at Liberty and they toured all the campus. It's insane, the money that they pumped into that campus. Liberty could do it. ULL couldn't do it. Texas San Antonio couldn't do it. South Florida couldn't do it. You get my point? Like, the cash-rich schools that have the financial ability could buy their way in if it's a buy-in, which it could very well be at that point. But time will tell, however they structure it. Okay. But that's not a shot at the Cajuns. Please don't misunderstand. I'm just saying that because of proximity. I could have just as well have said Arkansas State. Arkansas will be in. Arkansas State will not. Right? Does that make sense? It's not a shot. It's just an illustration of the caliber of program that we're talking about. Financial caliber of program we're talking about. All right. It's after further review. We'll do Tigers and the Pros next.
AFR.
Brought to you by Glow Resources, GLO, glowresources.com. Man, I'm going to give you a phone number, or actually, better yet, just go to glowresources.com, GLO, glowresources.com. If you're a business owner, or if you are the decision maker, if you're the owner of the business, if you're the vice president, if you're the operations manager, if you're the hiring manager, and you need help, like you're having trouble finding people to fill some of these hard-to-fill roles. That's what Glow Resources specializes in. And I sat down for a long time on Friday with Casey, and we went through the whole professional placement division. And it is so impressive, the procedures that Glow Resources has in place to help you, the business owner, find the people you need. Office administrators, accounting, HR, marketing, managerial services, supervisor roles, plant managers, scheduling assistants. They'll find it all for you. They'll find it efficiently. It's Glow Resources. GLO, glowresources.com.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. a family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered gold. Brack, your #1 park system in the nation.
Elevate brand visibility, ignite customer engagement with the power of radio and digital advertising combined. Guarantee Digital Media brings the two together as a trusted media partner in Louisiana for nearly a century. Claim your free digital audit at guaranteemedia.com.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. It's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
All right, wrapping up hour number 2. What are you laughing at?
This song.
Well, I'm trying to figure out how I transition into Alondra has Tigers in the Pros after you told me you didn't prep Tigers in the Pros.
I know. Sorry.
Why don't you hit the Tigers in the Pros intro anyway? Tigers in the Pros.
Tigers in the Pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
Well, Alondra, you didn't prep Tigers in the Pros. That's okay. No. You're just fired. Not really. You're not really fired. That's what I tell people all the time. I fired Brian Haldane every day, a.k.a. The Brain, like 5 times a show.
Yeah. I think I've been fired before.
It was Brain, you're fired. Yeah. Have I fired you before?
I think so.
No.
I don't know. I'm pretty close to perfect.
I wouldn't fire people I like. I just fire Muse and Haldane and all them all the time.
Yeah.
That's all. I wouldn't fire you.
Okay, I'll take it.
Okay, so that's a joke, by the way, people. It's a joke. Obviously, they're still gainfully employed here. It's a joke. They do great work. It's amazing. Some people don't like. They don't like.
They don't get the joke.
Oh, do you have the "You Don't Get the Show" drop? I know Muse just added it.
Yeah, I do.
Hit it.
You don't get the show.
Poppy.
They don't get it.
Poppy's so good. All right. Alondra didn't prep Tigers in the Pros, but I did have this story, and it does involve a former Tiger who's in the pros, and I get to yell something that many of you hate. Here it is. How about that? You know who started that triple play, Alondra?
Aaronola.
Kelly High! that's right. First time. So it was a liner to Amendola, who threw to first. The runner who was out, McKinstry.
Kool-Aid?
Zach, not Kool-Aid. Zach McKinstry. That'd be a hell of a trick if Kool-Aid, who's injured right now, was playing for the Detroit Tigers. Zach McKinstry took off, never stopped, and so then he threw to Bryce Harper. So Nola caught the liner, threw to Harper at first to get the double play. Well, McKinstry, not Kool-Aid, never stopped running, and so they were able to triple him up over at third base. So it was a 1-3-5 triple play. That's the first 1-3-5 triple play in Major League Baseball since July 11th of 1929. Almost 100 years since you've had a 1-3-5 triple play, and it took a Calicut bear to get it done. Alondra, that's right. All we do, we hang banners and we do triple plays that ain't been seen in 100 years. Okay, that's Tigers and the Pros. Brought to you by our friends over at South Point Volkswagen, southpointvw.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at southpointvw.com. Hitting the road for vacation this summer and thinking, I'd like a little bigger vehicle. How about you go test drive an Atlas over at South Point Volkswagen? It is amazing the storage space they have in those, but it's so sleek and stylish and fun to drive with the great German engineering. Manufactured right there in Chattanooga, Tennessee at their Tennessee plant, and, of course, made in the USA, the great German engineering, and always great pricing as well at Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer. It's South Point Volkswagen. SouthPointVW.com. South Point Volkswagen. What's your direction? All right, y'all, 2 hours in the books. We got Jake Madison in 20 minutes. NBA draft starts tomorrow. We'll take a look at what the Pels might do. Could Dak Prescott end up as the quarterback of the New Orleans Saints and Derek Carr end up as the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys? Don't roll your eyes, Alondra. I saw you roll your eyes. There's one very respected person who laid out the possibility. We'll talk about it next.
AFR.
Y'all, storm season is here, and you know the drill. Eventually, there's going to be a storm in the Gulf. It'll make landfall somewhere along our coast. It'll knock out power for a long time. It's a reality we all live with. We all pray it doesn't happen, but we have to prepare for the possibility of it happening. That's why you need Optimize. Optimize is Louisiana's #1 Generac dealer. And you've heard me say this before, but a Generac generator is a commodity. There's a lot of companies that sell Generac automatic home standby generators. So why do you choose Optimize? Why is Optimize the #1 Generac dealer in the state? Because they are the generator people. All they do is sell, service, and install Generac automatic home standby generators. They have the inventory. Their installers do this all the time, so they're expert installers. They're experts at repairs. They also have staff that's suited just to repair and install Generac automatic home standby generators. Go to generatorpeople.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered gold. Brack, your #1 park system in the nation.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial properties. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Oshner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Oshner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Celtics center Kristaps Porzingis in the coming days will undergo surgery on a lower left leg injury sustained in Game 2 of the NBA Finals. He will miss playing for the Latvian national team at the Summer Olympics in Paris. A timeline for his return not yet determined. Knicks guard OG Anunoby opted out of his contract. He'll be a free agent. Warriors and veteran guard Klay Thompson remained at a standoff ahead of free agency. There hasn't been a lot of communication on a contract between the sides. Golden State GM Mike Dunleavy's maintained the team wants Thompson back. Thompson does plan to test free agency. ESPN NBA analyst Tim Legler.
The drop-off was so dramatic in terms of his inability to make shots at that consistent rate that we were used to. That's when the Warriors are starting to wonder about the number. Is he going to be unreasonable about the number or about his role? And if either of those things, like he's holding on to with a great deal of pride, it might force the Warriors' hand in that situation.
Tim Legler on Get Up. Pavel Datsyuk, Jeremy Roenick, Shea Weber among the former NHL stars who will be inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame in November in Toronto.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance, making it easy to save money. When you bundle your auto policy with home, condo, or renters, you'll earn a multi-policy discount. Easy to bundle, easy to save. Visit Progressive.com.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona. And here we go. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios. That's right.
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us, AFR. Powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Cassie Spazzale. I'm walking here. Alondra Villarreal. And Mr. Toby Templey. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you're driving home with us. Jake Madison, 15 minutes. He is the host of Locked On Pelicans. Excited to have Jake here. NBA draft is tomorrow. By the way, just real quickly, I do want to talk about this story. Bill Barnwell over at ESPN wrote about a possibility of the Saints and the Cowboys essentially swapping quarterbacks next year. It sounds insane, but he laid out a path of how it could actually happen. I want to touch on that here in a quick second. But for the last 2 years, I've hosted the podcast LSU Daily, and a lot of you have asked, where has LSU Daily gone? Well, I'm no longer doing LSU Daily. As a matter of fact, Musso is going to take over that podcast when he gets back from vacation. I have restarted Locked on LSU. So very quick history that most of you probably don't care about. In 2018, David Locke, who started the Locked On Podcast Network, asked me or offered me the opportunity to start the Locked On LSU podcast, which I did. And I did that for 4 years. In 2022, I stepped aside. Long story that I don't think anybody here necessarily cares about, but I had to step away from Locked on LSU, started LSU Daily, and after a couple of years of doing LSU Daily, I had the opportunity to go back and do Locked on LSU again. It fit contractually with what I'm doing now, and so I was able to resume. So started that last week, so I would really, 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 really appreciate if on your whatever podcast app you use, if you would go search Locked on LSU and subscribe and follow along. It is about 25 minutes a day, and it is original content. I record it at night, and so it is fresh, original content every single day at Locked on LSU. And very candidly, it's fair to say, Alondra, you know me pretty well. It's fair to say I'm a competitive person. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, that's fair. I literally don't let little kids beat me in, pool basketball.
Yeah.
We have some neighbors that are 9 and 11. They come over. They always want to play me in pool basketball. And I just not only do they not win, I don't let them score.
Yeah. Oh, don't put a shuffleboard in front of this man.
Oof, that's true. I'll sit there and play shuffleboard till the cows come home. When we were at Mockler at the Slattery, we played, oh my goodness. I don't even think I watched the Saints game there. Probably a good thing. It was when they lost the Thursday night game to the Jags. I played shuffleboard. Anyway, all that to say, when I left Locked on LSU 2 years ago, the top 3 podcasts in the college channel were Locked on Auburn, Locked on Tennessee, Locked on LSU, in whatever order. Every week we would all flip-flop being number 1, 2, in whatever order. And suffice to say, Locked on LSU is not there right now, and that really upsets me a lot. So I do not like to lose. I do not want to lose. And so I would greatly appreciate it if you'd help me take down Zach Blackerby and those Auburn punks who are in the top spot. But I'm coming for you, Blackerby. I'm coming. Anyway. But I am excited to be doing Locked on LSU again. So if you would go subscribe, I would appreciate it. All right, it's After Further Review. Thanks for being here. So I don't know that I love this idea. I love part of this idea, which means Derek Carr wouldn't be the Saints quarterback anymore. So Bill Barnwell, who does a really good job over at ESPN, has a piece up at ESPN.com that's got to be a 5,000-word feature. And it's so rare because nobody writes 5,000-word features anymore because it's impractical. All the data suggests people don't sit down and read a feature for 30 minutes. It's just, that's why you so seldom see them. People want quick, short, go, get to the point, boom, move on. It's just the nature of society. Now, I guess you can get away with it when it's Dak Prescott and his contract and it's the Dallas Cowboys because of their reach and all the appeal therein. But I am someone who will sit down and read this, and Bill Barnwell did a really masterful job with it. And it's Dak Prescott's Cowboys future, new contract or test free agency. And so Barnwell in this piece goes through these large-scale different sections about Dak's contract and everything. And there's this feature, there's this part of the line, there's this part that's jump to a topic. The road that led to the impasse, the no trade, no tag clause, the inexplicable quote from Jerry Jones, can the Cowboys afford their core? How does Dak compare to other quarterbacks? Where does Lamar have to do with this? What could Prescott's deal look like? Who could Dallas target if he walks? And should the Cowboys actually move on? Those are, if you don't read the whole thing, you go to any one of those sections. Again, this is a 5,000-word expose. The point that I will direct your attention to here is the who could Dallas target if he walks? And there's some interesting names. The most obvious is Trey Lance, who is already on the roster. Trey Lance was the former number 3 overall pick of San Francisco. We know it didn't work out there. And Trey Lance is now a member of the Dallas Cowboys. That's probably the most likely scenario. They also lay out a scenario that would include several free agents. I told you, this is a long, I'm still scrolling. Kirk Cousins. Now, this makes sense if you just think about it intuitively. The Falcons signed Kirk Cousins, and then they promptly went and drafted Michael Penix 8th overall. So if Penix develops this year, it's plausible to think next year the Falcons could try to get some value for Cousins if they're going to make Penix their franchise quarterback. And then the one we should pay attention to, he mentions Derek Carr. He also mentioned Daniel Jones and Sam Darnold, and then the possibility of drafting Dak Prescott's replacement. Let me read for you just very quickly what Bill Barnwell wrote about Derek Carr and the possibility of Derek Carr going to Dallas. Here's what he wrote. If the Saints disappoint this season, they likely would end up moving on from Carr, who only has $10 million in guarantees left on his deal after this season. They would struggle to eat the $40 million in dead money from his contract if they trade him after the season, but they could designate him as a post-June 1 release to free up more than $30 million in short-term space. That could come in handy if they decide to try to sign Prescott. He goes on to say Carr's in the same bucket list as Cousin, lesser, older version of Dak, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, whatever, blah. The point being that if Derek Carr underwhelms this year and the Saints want to move on, Dallas could look at Derek Carr as a possible veteran placement. Now, I want to say that I fundamentally disagree with this point from Bill Barnwell because there's two scenarios. Number one, if Derek Carr plays well, then the Saints are going to retain him. They restructured his deal. I have said and maintained the Saints are financially bound to Derek Carr for 2 more years because of the restructuring of the deal. I cannot imagine a world where the New Orleans Saints eat $40 million in dead money on Derek Carr's contract. Even if you've designated post-June 1 and so it's lesser next year, you're still, again, kicking the can down the road, which they do, but you're still eating $40 million in dead money, and I can't see them doing that. I just can't see that as a scenario. So Derek Carr, I think, is going to be on the New Orleans Saints roster this year and next year, no matter what. But if he plays well, he's back. And if he plays poorly, and even if you play out the scenario that Barnwell just unfolded, if Derek Carr plays poorly and the Saints do move on from him, what team's going to want to go make him their franchise quarterback? It's implausible. At that point, it would be like, all right, you are a failed starter in Oakland. You're a failed starter in New Orleans. 2 teams have tried to make you their franchise. You're not that. The best you're going to be is effectively with Jameis Winston now as Cleveland, where you've got your guy in Deshaun Watson, who's the $200 million quarterback. I get it. That's not a great deal. It's not a great contract. We understand all that. But Jameis isn't going there to compete with Deshaun Watson to be the starter. He's going to Cleveland to be the backup to Deshaun Watson. That's effectively what he is now. So that there's no difference for Derek Carr if he busts here in New Orleans another season. So all that to say, I don't know why Dallas would sign Derek Carr. The flip side of that is if the Saints did move on from Derek Carr and had $40 million in dead cap money, you don't have enough money to pay Dak Prescott. Now, I would prefer Dak Prescott over Derek Carr. I think Dak Prescott has a higher ceiling. He has not realized that ceiling yet, but he has been a perennial playoff caliber quarterback. Derek Carr has not. He's made the playoffs twice in his career. That's it. So, in one of the years when they were good, he didn't even get to play in the playoffs because he got injured. So, he's not even a playoff quarterback. He's a stat compiler in the regular season who's not good enough to get a team consistently in the playoffs. Dak has consistently been in the playoffs. They just haven't won in the playoffs. You know who else did that for a long time? Matthew Stafford. Really good quarterback, put up good numbers, got Detroit into the playoffs, and they never did anything. He goes to the Rams, better situation, boom, Super Bowl. I think Dak, in a different scenario, different situation, different team, could find a similar path to Matthew Stafford. I'm not saying that's in New Orleans. I'm just saying I believe that's possible. I do not believe that's a possible scenario for Derek Carr. So if somehow it could work out that the Saints and the Cowboys could trade quarterbacks, I'd take Dak over Derek Carr in a millisecond. And again, that's not to say Derek Carr or Dak is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. I don't believe that he is today. But I don't believe Derek Carr is a top 20 quarterback in the NFL, and I believe Dak is probably somewhere around the top 10. So it would be a dramatic improvement from what you have, still not what you want. My best option, as I said this year in the draft, and will continue to say, is to go draft. Use a first-round pick to draft your franchise. Do what teams that end up with franchise quarterbacks do. They take their swing in round 1. Go draft your franchise. Or you can keep picking Jake Haener and Spencer Rattler and hoping that a day 3 pick hits. Maybe. Probably not. Maybe. Or you could do what the Bengals did with Joe Burrow. You can get aggressive. You can move up and take your franchise quarterback. Do what the Falcons just did. You can call it stupid as you want. And I get it. But you ain't winning without a franchise quarterback, and they took a swing. Let's see if we can get one. Okay. Respect. Saints have done it once in their history. Still think that's going to be the better path. Anyway, you want to read it. Bill Barnwell, a really, really, really extensive piece about Dak Prescott's contract situation, how New Orleans could be a potential landing spot, and how Carr could end up with a star on the helmet. Okay, it's after further review. I'm glad you're here. Love telling you about Shawbill's Tire and Auto Service. Was actually over at Shawbill's yesterday, and they're so awesome. Alondra as my witness. What happened, Alondra? What happened Friday night after Battle of the Bands?
We left and you had a flat tire.
I had a flat tire. By the way.
Wait, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't mean to interrupt this, but Kendall Rogers just tweeted that Schloss is going to UT, courtesy of Chip Brown from 247.
You interrupted my library.
I know, I'm sorry. But yeah, you had a flat tire, and you took it to Shawbill's?
I did.
Yeah.
Took it to Shawbill's. They fixed it for free because that's what they do. Shawbill's Tire and Auto Service, ShawbillsTire.com. Shawbill's, where we keep you rolling. Okay, we got Jake Madison, and we're going to talk to Jake. But I am so excited about Jim Schlossnagle leaving Texas A&M, mostly because I get to spend all night tonight going and firing old takes exposed at every A&M goober who has flooded my Twitter mentions for the last 24 hours, making fun of me for saying this was a very real possibility. Losers. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Darren James and Associates, brokered by LPT Realty. Every home listed by every company, all in one place. You know where to find them. Agent225.com, agent225.com. And as a matter of fact, Darren has his new app as well. Actually sent me the link to it yesterday. Go download the Darren James app. Just search for it in your app store. You want to search for homes, find preferred vendors. If you want to learn more about Darren James and his team, understanding why it's important to hire a real estate agent, a realtor, you can find it all there on the Darren James app. You can even chat with Darren. Look, there's a bubble right there. It's Darren's picture. You can chat with Darren. You can text with him right there. Download the Darren James app right now in your app store. If you are thinking about buying a home or selling your home, you need a realtor. You need the best. You need Darren James, who has more technology, more listing power tools than any other realtor. That's why he's the #1 realtor in the state of Louisiana. Agent225.com.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $20,000 off new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $20,000 off the powerful Ram truck. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
All right, NBA draft gets underway tomorrow. Our buddy Jake Madison, locked on Pelicans, good enough to spend a few minutes with us here. How are you, dude?
I'm doing well. Happy to be on talking some hoops.
Thanks, man. Excited with the draft coming around just to see what the Pels roster may start to shape up like. Hey, let me start, though, Jake, with what happened today. Swin Cash promoted, now the highest-ranking female executive in the NBA. Got some perspective there?
Yeah, I think it's really important. And, you know, you've seen a couple of departures from the Pelicans, Trajan Langdon leaving to go to Detroit. And to move Swin Cash up here, I think it sends a message to the rest of the league. One, she's thought of very highly around the league and someone that many other teams would want in their front office, and the Pelicans chose to prioritize her to keep her here. I think that sends a pretty strong message that despite a slightly disappointing season, you have some really smart people in your front office. And the way Swin Cash interacts with the players and what her role has kind of been here in New Orleans, you saw them all on social media congratulating her, excited for her. Getting that player buy-in is the toughest part of any NBA franchise. You can deal with the X's and O's, you can deal with the draft free agency. Getting players to kind of buy into your culture and what you're doing, and that's something that Swin Cash has been able to do. So I think the Pelicans are really making a statement by moving her up and making her the highest-ranking female executive in the NBA.
Jake, she'll obviously be front and center with this organization tomorrow as the draft gets underway. We could look at all the mock drafts. I mean, I think I saw the latest one from ESPN that had him go with Yves Missi, the center out of Baylor. Is there a position or a player that you think the Pels should be targeting?
You know, I think the natural thing for them to look at is the center position. Jonas Valanciunas is going to be gone. He will not be coming back to New Orleans next season. And that was a bit of a problem position for him all season long. We've heard the rumors of them maybe trading for someone like Miles Turner from Indiana, for Jared Allen from the Cleveland Cavaliers. They wanted to upgrade that position for a while. And while this is a weaker draft, I do think there are some intriguing centers here. You have a guy like Khalil Ware from Indiana that offers rim protection and three-point shooting, two areas the team needs to prioritize. You have a guy like Deron Holmes II from Dayton. You know, that's the guy that reminds you of Naz Reid and how important he was for the Minnesota Timberwolves and the type of small ball athletic center that I think would do well next to Zion Williamson. And then you have Missi, who you mentioned, who's probably the rawest out of that kind of group. And I think when you look at him, he's a high-flying big man that gives you vertical spacing, that vertical lob threat next to Zion, along with rim protection. So I think it makes sense that they naturally are targeting the center position because that's an area that needs an overhaul for this team. And when you heard David Griffin at the end of the season, and I'm sure you're going to ask me about this in a second, talking about how this is not a summer for complacency, it's a summer for change, I think a lot of people assume it's a Brandon Ingram trade, but I think they also feel they could potentially bring Brandon Ingram back and really retool the center position to kind of unlock some of those lineup combinations. And maybe that's an area that they address in this draft tomorrow.
Okay. Let's go there. Let's play. Jake, doesn't any roster scenario with New Orleans this offseason start with whatever you're going to do with Brandon Ingram? Like, don't you have to make that clear and concise decision first before any other dominoes can fall?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
You know, I think that's where you would like to start. And the NBA is a deadline-driven league. That's why you don't see trades getting done till a day or two before the NBA's trade deadline in February. The draft is definitely one of those deadlines because now all of a sudden picks, which just ooze potential, could be anything, right, turn into a player and they lose value. So if you're trying to kind of maximize your assets, you want to get a deal done right now before you make a pick at 21, if that, is going to be included in a trade. That said, when you look at some of the bigger superstar trades around the NBA in the offseason, and I look at Donovan Mitchell specifically, that was done in September. That was done about a month before training camp started. And I think when you look at teams that make sense as potential trade partners for Brandon Ingram, the Cleveland Cavaliers, who have 2 guards, 2 centers, and probably need to move one of each of those guys, have at least publicly said, we're not doing that. We're going to stick with the team that we have. You have Atlanta that's in a really weird spot where you have DeJounte Murray, Trae Young, who don't fit together, but also they have the number 1 overall pick, and maybe that buys them some time before they need to make some of these changes. So the most impactful move that you're going to make is going to be a Brandon Ingram trade. I don't necessarily think that needs to be the first move that you're going to make. I'd say it's maybe 50-50 if we see a deal get done for him this week. I wouldn't put it necessarily above that, but I'd also say it's more likely than not that he won't be on the team at the start of the regular season. And I think New Orleans is going to cast a far and wide net to try and make that change to maybe build around Zion Williamson a little bit more. But I don't necessarily think that it's going to get done by tomorrow just because are there enough trade partners out there to find a deal that makes sense?
Okay, let's go. All right, so you said you think B.I. is not on the roster at the start of the season. It is interesting to me, Jake. I guess just I've had programmed in my brain, like when I started thinking about this roster, you got 2 megastars with Zion and B.I., and you have to figure out what you're going to be able to do with those 2 guys. So when or what would a deal be like for Brandon if you were able to get it done?
I think it depends on what they want to upgrade, right? There's 2 areas that are important, and it's that center spot. So, you could probably get a deal done today with the Cleveland Cavaliers for Jared Allen. I just don't think that's the entire return that New Orleans wants for a player Brandon Ingram's caliber. And so that's why I think you're maybe seeing things get held up from that. But that maybe changes in a month. Do you get a little bit desperate? Do the Cavaliers get a little bit desperate? And how does that tip the scales a little bit towards making a deal, possible with that? But I think, higher level guard play would be important. They talked a lot about basketball IQ. They maybe need more of a table setter at the guard position than C.J. McCollum has been. We've seen he's just way more effective off ball, not as kind of floor general C.J. McCollum. So you need to maybe try and find that guy. And I think that's where maybe they're looking at it. That's why you're hearing them, linked to the Atlanta Hawks with Trae Young, DeJounte Murray, 2 guards that do very different things, but can you kind of fill that role for you a little bit more? But then you also have the question of what do you do with C.J. McCollum? Can he start? Do you need him to come off the bench and play a 6-man role? And how does that look like? I've talked about on my show recently that I just think a Brandon Ingram trade is so complicated because of what comes after that it may take a little while to get done. And so if you've just got to draft a guy tomorrow who's ultimately going to get some minutes this year, but probably not be a significant difference maker, I think it's okay if you end up drafting someone first and having them be a role player for you, because whoever you're going to be taking likely isn't going to be a significant starter in that capacity. So that's why I think you could see something maybe wait a little bit, or maybe they're waiting for another domino to fall, right? Paul George is out there with the Clippers. Is he going to resign with L.A.? Is he going to move? There's still maybe a little bit of uncertainty about LeBron James and what he's going to end up doing. Brandon Ingram might be the 4th or 5th domino to fall in the kind of off-season chain of events, so we still might need to wait a little bit.
He's on Twitter at NOLA Jake Madison. Of course, make sure you're subscribed up to Locked On Pelicans, wherever you get your podcasts. Of course, on YouTube as well. Great time to subscribe up if you're not there yet, with the draft being tomorrow. Jake, do you think they keep that pick and make the pick in round 1 tomorrow?
As long as there's not a Brandon Ingram trade, yeah, I think so. They've been really linked to Yves Missi, and I think that's a guy that they're pretty high on. I think they can kind of mold him into the prototypical big man you want alongside Zion Williamson. I'm actually expecting to see a little bit of a run on centers, like toward the later end of the lottery, that 13, 14, 15 spot. That's going to take a guy like Khalil Ware away from him. Zach Edey won't be available at 21. And I think they'll be fine taking Missi there, even if that's not a guy that I particularly like. If Missi's gone, if those centers are gone, that might be one of the kind of higher level guards, like Isaiah Collier might fall. I just saw a mock draft where Rob Dillingham from Kentucky, who's generally thought of as a consensus top 10 guy, fell to 21. that could be an appealing option for New Orleans. So I think they're going to be fine picking somebody there. It'll likely be a guard or a center. And if none of the guys they like there is going to be available, they'll try and trade out of this draft. Again, it's a weaker draft, I think. Try and turn this pick into a future first-round pick and just kick that can down the road and add another asset that you could attach to a Brandon Ingram trade later down the line. I think that's a move that also makes sense for the Pelicans.
Why don't you like Messi?
It's too raw. The way I look at the draft, when you look at draft philosophy, when you're picking in the top 5, you tend to just go for pure ceiling. Like, this guy's an all-NBA guy, or this guy has MVP ceiling, and you don't necessarily look at floors, and I get it. The draft can really be hit or miss, so you've got to take those big swings because it's a star-driven league. When you're a team that had 49 wins and you're drafting 21, maybe you don't need to take that big swing when you have Zion Williamson, when you in theory, right now, have Brandon Ingram and some other young guys that you particularly like. We're expecting Trey Murphy to take an even bigger leap next season. Just get a good basketball player that can contribute, right? Sometimes just get a solid guy that has a pretty high floor that's going to help you year one and see what that difference can make. Look at the Dallas Mavericks with Derek Lively II, who they took as a rookie, a higher draft pick here, but he contributed on their run to the finals and was a really big, important part of that. I don't see necessarily massive all-star MVP potential in him, but sometimes you just need a guy that's going to help you win games right now, and that's the position that the Pelicans are in. I could see Messi being really good in 3 years, and that's great, except David Griffin and the rest of the front office is going to be fired by then if that's how long it takes him to develop, and you might have already traded Zion Williamson if that's the case. They need to be competitive now. David Griffin has said that. Drafting a developmental guy I don't think fits where they are currently.
Here's Jake Madison on Twitter, @NolaJake. Y'all give him a follow. Of course, subscribe to Locked On Pelicans. Jake, before we go, what's the storyline that I haven't asked you about that the audience needs to know about going into tomorrow? Obviously, the next 2 days.
I think the biggest thing is, can they get a Brandon Ingram trade done that's favorable to them? I think there's going to be a lot of talk around the Atlanta Hawks, and I think it might also depend on what they do with the first overall pick. Like, we don't know who they're taking just yet. Are they open to even moving that pick? What they do with that pick might then unlock a trade for a Trae Young, for a DeJounte Murray, and then that's all of a sudden a very clear path toward getting a Brandon Ingram deal done. So whatever happens with that number 1 overall pick is something I'm going to be watching, because depending on what it is, you might see the Pelicans call Atlanta immediately after, and then all of a sudden it happens really quickly and you see a Brandon Ingram trade.
He is Jake Madison. Y'all follow him on Twitter @NolaJake. And, of course, subscribe to the Locked On Pelicans podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, or on YouTube. Great time to do it, obviously, with the draft getting underway. Hey, man, always appreciate it. All the best. Talk soon.
Okay, of course. Thanks for having me on.
Be well. It's After Further Review, brought to you by Excuse me. We got to redo that. It's Parrish now. Got to redo that on the log. It's the second day in a row. Look down at the sheet. Parrish Restoration was Pure Restoration. Prior to that, it was Mold Zero. Same company, same product, but Mold Zero rebranded to Pure Restoration. Now, Pure Restoration is Parrish Restoration. Tilly and Terrio, my partners at Parrish Construction and Roofing, they merged with Jim Woodworth and brought everything under the Parrish umbrella. So it's Parrish Restoration now. So if you go to parrishbuilt.com, hit the Restoration tab on the homepage, you'll see the same patented non-toxic dry fog. You can learn about that treatment, why it's more cost-effective, why it's more efficient, why it works better. You can read the full U.S. Army Corps of Engineers report. As a matter of fact, of all the companies all over the country that have license to use this restoration tool, no company fogs more square footage a year than Parrish Restoration. So if you want to kill mold or remove odor, sanitize your buildings from churches and schools to your home, office building, whatever, they can do it at Parrish Restoration. Go to parrishbuilt.com, and hit the Restoration tab right there on the home page. All right, it is After Further Review. I'm having so much. I'll be very candid. I was talking to Jake, and simultaneously at Old Takes Exposed tweeting all these people in my mentions. I got a break. I'm coming. Jim Schlossnagle has taken the Texas job. He's leaving A&M. like we talked about yesterday, and like all the Aggie people flooded my Twitter timeline yesterday in my mentions and called me all these kinds of names. I have half of mine just to spend the next segment just reading their tweets at me. But I'm gonna spend all night. The guy whoever runs Old Takes Exposed Twitter account has already replied to me. But I'm gonna spend all night doing this, going after every single one of them that tweeted angry, mean things at me, because I'm gonna show them how stupid they are. It's AFR.
AFR.
Man, if you've ever thought about building a swimming pool at your house, or you have a pool that needs to be updated, you need the best. You need Duplessis Builders. Go to the website, duplessisbuilders.net, duplessisbuilders.net. Learn more about Derek Duplessis, how you can build your backyard paradise. Y'all, one of the things you know about me if you've listened to the show for any length of time, I don't endorse the cheapest route. This is not going to be, if you're just going to get quotes to build a pool and you're seeing who's going to do it the fastest and the cheapest, that is not going to be Duplessis Builders. I'm going to tell you candidly. If you want gorgeous work and a company that stands by their work with expert craftsmanship, that's Duplessis Builders. I've told you, Derek has his degree in mechanical engineering from LSU with a minor in aerospace engineering. They will not cut corners. They're not going to do it fast. They're going to make sure it's done to code. That's why they give you a 10-year workmanship guarantee. It's duplessisbuilders.net.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. So it's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off F-150. $10,000 off the new 2024 Ford F-150. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we...
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Man, I am so fired up about this. Jim Schlossnagle gone out of Aggie land. He's gone to Austin. Give me the eyes of Texas. Give me some Texas music. And listen, I'm not celebrating Texas. I'm just here to crap on all you sad Aggie fans who flooded my Twitter mentions for the last 24 hours after, by the way, I defended you. When it was Tennessee and Texas A&M, I called you the lesser of two evils. I was cheering against Tennessee, not necessarily for you, but I said I'd be better seeing A&M win it because A&M people I think are just nicer. They got the howdy culture, the thumbs up, all that good stuff. You go to College Station, they'll open doors for you. They treat you pretty generally good. But all y'all spent the last 24 hours flooding my Twitter mentions, calling me names, saying I was wrong, saying I was stupid, saying I was a drug head, saying I look like a thumb, which I kind of do. But all y'all were just dead wrong. Y'all couldn't see through your own blind loyalty, and you took shots at me when I was trying to tell you the damn story. Yeah, I knew Schlossnagle was taking that damn job. I heard the terms of the contract and the terms for his assistants. And if he got cold feet, they were going to hire Skip Johnson from Oklahoma. But guess what? They got across the finish line because apparently Jim Schlossnagle couldn't stand you anymore. You milkmen overall wearing weirdos couldn't stand you anymore. So I'd rather go to a place with a worse roster, with worse facilities that ain't been relevant really here lately. I'm leaving a good roster, a place where they're building me turn that up louder, please. They're building me a $90 million stadium. I got a good roster. I just played for a national championship. I'm going to go to a turf field in the middle of Texas? At an old ballpark? I'm going to go there just to get away from you people. That's what Jim Schlossnagle just said. Because money ain't no issue. A&M can pay whatever Texas could. That was an open hand slap across the face to all you sane people who spent the last 24 hours flooding my mentions. I tweeted it yesterday morning. It's now been my tweet, pull this up, Cassie. The tweet that I posted yesterday at 11 a.m. It's been viewed 515,000 times. A&M people, nothing but up in my mentions all freaking day, calling me all these freaking names. And I'm going to tell you the worst one is, I'm going to call him by name. Oh, y'all done started something now. Y'all done started something. It's this guy, Daryl Bruffett, I don't know, something like that. There he is. He quote tweeted me and said, must be the Tito's talking. And is that Tom or is that Jerry? Is it Little Mouse Tom or Jerry? I don't remember.
I think it's Jerry.
Jerry's a little mouse. Cassie, Jerry's a little mouse?
Yes, it's Jerry.
Okay. So he's got a gif of Jerry laughing, and it must be the Tito's talking. Now, that's one thing, but here's when you explore a little further, you find out that our friend Daryl here, let's look at his bio here on Twitter. Daryl is the sports director at KBTX. This is a TV sports director in the state of Texas who was so aloof, so bad at his job, he did not realize the coach that he covers was about to get scooped up by his rival. And I'm a bald, look like a thumb radio guy in Baton Rouge, and I had the story. And you didn't? What are you doing, Daryl? And not only did you not have the story, not only are you not serving your audience, you're that bad at your job. Not only that, but then you have the audacity to take a shot at me on Twitter, posting that stupid Tom and which one is the mouse again?
Jerry.
The Jerry gif and saying I'm on Tito's? How about this, brother? Do your damn job. How about you get some freaking connections around the school you cover in the state in which you reside, where you're a sports director for KBTX? I don't know anything about KBTX, I don't know what city they're in. You're from Texas. Where is that, Alondra?
College Station.
KBTX is in College Station?
It is.
This dude's a sports director in College Station? Are you flipping kidding me? I thought it was going to be like Amarillo. Give me some small town in Texas.
Yeah, Tyler, Texas?
Yeah. What's where Matt Flynn's from? Shout out.
Oh, yeah,
anyway, I just thought it was going to be some small town guy. Didn't really know nobody. You can tell me that guy's in College Station and had no idea the freaking head coach at A&M who's playing for a natty was about to get scooped up by Texas, and I'm just the fat, bald, look like a thumb radio guy in Baton Rouge, and I had the story? Beware of fans in the media. Yo, I get it. I got opinions. I went to LSU. I love LSU. You can point the finger at me. But I'll tell you if LSU's going to suck. You can never accuse me of that. If I think they're going to be garbage or made a bad hire, I'm going to tell you that. I want them to win all the time, but I know they ain't going to win all the time, and I'll be honest with you. This guy's taking shots at me. Daryl? Somebody's paying that guy a paycheck, Alondra. He's got a salary job.
Yeah.
He's putting sports director on his freaking Twitter bio.
Covering College Station.
It ain't like the golf coach decided to go, start selling insurance. It's the freaking head men's baseball coach who's playing for a national championship gets plucked away by Texas. He ain't got a clue.
That rival goes way back to.
Man, I'm gonna have a good night. I got a lot of work to do. When you have a tweet, I don't know if you ever had a tweet that does 500,000 views.
Never.
When that happens and you're going to go old takes expose people, it's going to be a minute. So Erica, I got news for you, babe. When I get home, you got Drew the rest of the night. Get him bathed and all that stuff. You feed him dinner. Because I got people on Twitter I got to go after tonight. I got old takes expose everyone. Because you know what you got to realize, bro? There are consequences to your action. If you were going to go on Twitter and be an a-hole to somebody, and then all of a sudden you pop up with dog poo-poo all over your shoe, I'm going to point it out to the world. You don't just get to be an a-hole consequence-free. There are consequences in the real world. That's something we all learn when we're kids. Don't you touch that stove. It's hot. Don't you touch that stove. You touch the stove, what happens? You burn your hand. Crank that up, Alondra. Let me hear that. But the only time we'll ever play the Eyes of Texas on this show. Good luck to you, Schloss. Except when you play LSU, of course. Good luck to you, Schloss, every time you play the Aggies. I think I get it now. I think I get it. The little brother syndrome. You come into the league to get away from Texas. A dozen years later, guess what happens? Texas wants to come in the league. You throw a hissy fit. What does the league say? Sit down and shut up. Oh, yes, sir. And just to show you, first year they're in the league, guess what we're doing? SEC Media Days in Dallas. That's what we're going to do. Sit down and shut up. Gig 'em. Whoop. Oh, and by the way, Texas is taking your coach, and we're all just going to sit here and applaud it.
After you lost the College World Series last night.
After you lost the College World Series. It would have been interesting what happened had they won last night. Because I think that would have been the scenario where, maybe this thing turns around. But as soon as that final out was scored, I say, gone. Gone. All right, final break of the show. I got a lot of tweeting to do. We're brought to you by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com, lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Maybe Schloss will get him a beautiful ring from Lee Michaels with that big old Longhorn logo on it, because he sure ain't getting one with the Aggies. And Aggies, you ain't won one since 1939. Ha, 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 long wait. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. You can go there and buy a very nice one with all the money you got. You got tons of money, Ags. Go buy a really nice ring at Lee Michaels. You can't ever earn one. LMFJ.com. LMFJ.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. 9 locations in all. They even have locations in Texas. How about that? San Antonio. That's close. Close-ish. Texas is huge. It's close-ish.
It's close.
It's close-ish.
It's an hour and a half.
Ish. LMFJ.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. I got a lot of tweeting to get to. All right, it's after further review. We're powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Let me knock out our final break of the show. Otter Locks is next.
AFR.
Hey, man, if your AC isn't keeping up at the house, call River City's 1 Hour Air. I don't know why I just said, hey, man, like we're friends. Well, we are kind of friends, but hey, man, look. River City's 1 Hour Air, 752-0001, 752-0001. Loves telling you about these 5-star reviews. Robert Frimmer said this when he said, I set the appointment for periodic inspection, as stated in the membership info. Called, messaged with a picture of the technician, got down to business, finished. We like this crew. New visit, same result. These folks are superior. Another 5-star Google review for River City's 1 Hour Air. The bottom line is, when you have a technician come into your house, you're going to be comfortable with who's coming to your home. They're going to do excellent work at a fair price. And if you ever have an issue, especially if you're a member of their membership club, which I always encourage, River City's 1 Hour Air, boom, top of the line service. It's River City's 1 Hour Air. 752-0001. Look for the big yellow vans and trucks with a giant clock on the side. 752-0001.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off F-150. $10,000 off the new 2024 Ford F-150. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
The best kept
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Down the stretch, we come final segment here on a Tuesday edition of AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. One thing left to do. Let's find out what we're betting on tonight. It's time for Otter Locks.
Otter Locks, presented by Lofton Staffing Services. At Lofton, we put people to work. Call us today at 924-0200 or go to lofton.jobs.
Otter, how are you?
I've been better.
That was a bad beat on the under. I mean, the definition of a bad beat.
Oh, it happens all the time. Runner at first, and, how does he get to second on defensive indifference? To third on the ball, to home, the wild pitch, second ball game. I mean, you talk about a crud sandwich. I mean, geez, of course he was striking out the end of the game the next pitch. We hit A&M on the run line. We hit A&M on the run line. We're going to push it with the +2 and hit the under. Matt, speaking of the under, okay, they if that does hit, playing to win either way. Just when it's blowing out, you play the over. When it's blowing in, it would have been 14-1.
Yeah,
it's 14-1. So it was a good run, but boy, that was tough. That was a tough one last night. You get the run line on the first run, of the ninth inning, but then you give up the total. Did pop the Stanley Cup though?
Yeah.
After some you score a couple of goals really early, that settled down, man. They kind of eat the whistle. We looked at it. The first 6 games averaged over 9 penalties a game. Last night, 3. So they kind of let them play, so to speak. That so lesson learned there. Game 7s go with the under, but man, when the wind's blowing in, got the under. When it's blowing out, bet it over at the College World Series.
Amen. Well, sorry, I just spent like 15 minutes yelling about the Schlossnagle, then yelling at Aggie people. So my throat was a little sore.
Oh, and their hangover just got a little worse. So I'm waiting for their delayed flight getting out of Omaha. So I mean, Trev Albert's off to a rocket start as AD, huh?
Oh man. All right, we got anything? We're gonna run out of time. We got anything tonight?
All right. Yeah, Pittsburgh, the Pirates. Is one of the sources of optimism. Not so much this year, but long term, is the Skeens, Jones, Keller trio. Keller has been outstanding. He's the oldest of the most experienced of the group, and man, he's been pitching lights out lately. Matt, first 5 though, because their closer just got put on the IL, Bednar. But first 5 at Bet Rivers, they got plus 120. I think at DraftKings it's even money. But first 5 Pirates.
Okay, Pirates, first 5.
And then we're going to kick them when they're down. Sorry, White Sox last and everything offensively. But I'm sorry, the Rockies. I get the Rockies and White Sox mixed up. They're the National League version of the White Sox, especially on the road. Astros minus 1.5. I don't like to do it too much at home, but Brown is on fire. So is this lineup. They're coming off their best weekend of the season. Astros minus 1.5. Minus 120, 125.
All right. Pittsburgh, first 5, and the Astros on the run line, minus 1.5. Where are you tomorrow, Otter?
We are at Los Rants Mexican Grill on Lee. Stop at Nicholson, right across from Mike Anderson.
Very good. All right, Otter, have a great show. Thanks. Good luck.
All right, good luck, Matt.
All right. Give me a sip of my Evermore. A big shout out to my friends over at Evermore. Great people. Doing a little homeless outreach this weekend as well. They're going to donate some Evermore. Just awesome people. Love being partnered with them. All right. Excuse me. That's going to do it for us. Alondra, Cassie, thanks so much. Paul's back tomorrow. Musso's out the whole week. So we'll see you. Y'all have a great night. Later. Bye. It's all good.
AFR.
As we get on down the road, let me remind you about Michelli. Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Michelli.com. Michelli.com. If you weigh or measure something, Michelli sells, services, rents the products you use to weigh and measure. That's Michelli Weighing and Measurement. They're just the best, and they continue to expand. Just added 2 new states, different offices in different states to their entire, portfolio, I guess we could say, or to their business. If you're interested in where they are, it's really easy. Go to the website at Michelli.com. I know there's a lot, of course, so many of you are here in Louisiana, but a lot of people in Texas and Florida, and a lot of people have moved from the state of Louisiana. You can go find all of their locations where they are. If you go to the website at Michelli.com, Michelli.com, and you can find out where they are across the country with more than 30 offices across 12 different states now. And if you want a list of their services, just hit the services tab right there on the homepage. ISO 17025 accreditation available. The mobile calibration lab is available. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Michelli.com.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play. with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. So it's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.